50 north in Clearfield exit. That's where we're starting to see some slowing. We'll get some camera on that, see what we can report for you. Aubrey?
Well, right now over in Utah County, things still looking great there as they have all morning. No delays on northbound I-15 from Spanish Fork over to the point of the mountain. That's going to take you about 25 minutes. And coming out of Saratoga Springs on Pioneer Crossing and 2100 North, just a couple extra minutes near the stoplights right now. I'm Aubrey Withrich in the KSL Traffic Center.
Looking at your weather forecast, we're looking for a high of only 38 degrees today as the winter chill sets in. But by the end of the week, that won't be the case. We'll be back up into the 50s by Friday. Some rain showers poking in around New Year's Day. Right now, 25 degrees in Salt Lake.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. One person is dead after a multi-vehicle crash in West Valley City. It was around 8 p.m. last night in the area of 41st South and Bangerter Highway. Utah Highway Patrol says 7 cars were involved, one of which was speeding and swerving between lanes before crashing into the other 6 cars. That car caught on fire and the driver died from their injuries after arriving at the hospital. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Investigators are revealing what they say the person who allegedly planted pipe bombs at the Republican and Democratic national headquarters in 2021 told them. According to court filings, Brian Cole told investigators he mentioned President Trump's false claims about the 2020 election.
Cole allegedly saying he isn't an openly political person and denied that he was targeting Congress as it was certifying President Joe Biden's win. In fact, prosecutors say when asked why he targeted both headquarters, he said, "I really don't like either party at this point."
ABC's Olivia Rubin reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow struggling this morning, down 234 points. That's almost 0.5% to 48,476. Coming up, it's going to be cold after those unseasonably warm temperatures from Christmas week. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
10 athletes will face the toughest job interview in fitness that will push past physical and mental breaking points. You are the fittest of the fit. Only one of you will leave here with an iFit contract for $250,000.
This is when mindset comes in.
Someone will be eliminated.
Pressure is coming down.
Trainer Games on Prime Video January 8th. Watch the trailer on trainergames.com.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks VapoStick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks VapoStick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you at high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
In today's fast-moving job market, staying ahead means keeping your skills sharp. At University of Maryland Global Campus, we help keep your capabilities cutting edge with our skills-based education programs designed to move your career forward. Explore more than 135 degrees and certificates in business, cybersecurity, and more. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start January 7th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Rain on game day doesn't faze Dave. He's already got his poncho. Just needs to do something about those wipers. So Dave heads to AutoZone,
Welcome to AutoZone.
where a friendly AutoZoner helps him get premium quiet wipers and some hand warmers.
You're all set.
Now, if only his team can handle the elements as well as his new wipers. Get wipers, glass cleaner, and more with no hassles, just help at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Let's check in again with Jason Jones.
And I don't know if it was just a slow-moving vehicle southbound I-15 up there at 650 North in Clearfield, but whatever was there is gone now. So the delays are completely evaporated. You don't have any other slowdowns happening anywhere else on I-15. It's all looking great through the Salt Lake Valley, and we were in Davis counties, down in Utah County as well. Your major feeders over to I-15 never really got busy this morning. 2100 North and Pioneer Crossing, they're all looking good. No problems on the 201 or I-80 or any other place. Everything is moving along swimmingly, at least at this point. Common Spirit, hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, we'll see sunny skies and a high of 38 degrees, but cooling down to 28 overnight. The sunny weather will continue, but it'll stay chilly with a high of only 43. Right now, it's 25 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Inside Sources. We're sort of rested and ready after a bit of a break. How was your Christmas?
I spent it sick most of the Christmas.
Under the weather, yeah.
So
we went
no,
down
it was good, but yeah, I'm a little husky today.
Well, one person that didn't take much of a Christmas break, it appears, is Judge Diana Gibson. She issued a ruling. Again, she's issued several rulings, but this one's really interesting. It's a ruling and order denying some of what the legislature has asked for and granting some of what the legislature has asked for. She issued this ruling on December 26th.
That was Friday.
Well, you and I were and it's quite an involved order. I think it's something that even though I'm an attorney, need some help with. So we're lucky to have with us Representative Todd Weiler,
Senator
Todd Weiler. Sorry, Todd. How are you this morning?
Good. I've been called worse than that, Greg. So I'm sorry you've been sick, Holly.
Thanks. It's 'tis the season.
So, have you had a chance to break this one down, Todd?
Yeah, I mean, I have, and first of all, I just want to point out once again, and I think my biggest criticism of Judge Gibson in this case is her timing, because she took 8 months to issue her big ruling on August 25th, which she just certified last Friday as final. And then on Monday of last week, a week ago today, she said, I'll have this latest ruling out before Christmas. And then she released it in the evening, early Friday evening after Christmas. And so, she issues very well-reasoned, I disagree with some of them, but very well-reasoned, well-researched, articulate decisions. And those do take time to draft. And I'm sure she wished she had some more help with her clerks and whatnot. But in this decision, she certified as final her August 25th ruling, which is the ruling that said that the maps that we used the last two congressional cycles are unconstitutional because they don't follow Prop 4, and that Prop 4, with all of its defects, is the law of the land. What the legislature was hoping is that she would also rule or certify her November 10th decision as final. That's the one that picked the map that was drawn by the Mormon Women for Ethical Government and rejected the legislature's map. That ruling also rejected some new legislation that the legislature passed in a special session regarding the partisan symmetry part of Proposition 4, which, quite frankly, nobody understands. And so she kind of split the baby on this one. She certified one of her big rulings as final for appeal and refused to certify the second one, which does keep her having continuing jurisdiction if there's more amended complaints. I think the plaintiffs in this case, which is the League of Women Voters and MWAG, I think they're up to like 6 amended complaints now. So if they find something else that they don't like next month or in February, they may file another amended complaint, and this would keep her kind of in the game on making rulings on the plaintiffs' various motions.
So, Senator, let me ask you this question, because I've read several news reports saying that she seems to be confused, and I included it in Utah Policy today, that she wrote in her decision that while it was the legislative defendant's duty to seek appellate review of these decisions as soon as possible, they have offered no legitimate explanation for failing to do so when they had a chance. And she seems to think that you could have appealed her decision, her August decision and her November decision, but the legislature did not do so.
Yeah, so there's an option called an interlocutory appeal that she's referring to. And that is an appeal while the case is still pending, while the case is unresolved, while there is no final judgment. And she's right, but the standards for an interlocutory appeal is discretionary. So the Supreme Court could say, well, let's wait till the case is final, whereas an appeal of a final judgment is mandatory. And so the Supreme Court could rule against the legislature or rule against the judge, but it's a mandatory. They'd have to make a ruling if there's an appeal of a final judgment. And for various reasons, I think the legislative attorneys had decided, to seek an appeal, not an interlocutory appeal. And I'll tell you, as a practicing civil litigator myself, interlocutory appeals are rare. And so she's kind of criticizing the legislature for not taking the rare move and for waiting and taking the more, I think, probably over 80%, I'm guessing, of appeals would be final judgment appeals and not interlocutory appeals. So I think I think her observations are correct, but I think the criticism, to the extent there is criticism, is unusual.
I think you made a really good point, Todd, because I've tried to do interlocutory appeals as well, and they're not particularly favored by our Supreme Court and Court of Appeals because of the reasons that, hey, go try the case and then we can do the interlocutory appeal. In fact, I think I've only had one request for an interlocutory appeal granted in my 40 years. But it seems that she is saying that this, I mean, maybe I disagree with you a little bit. She almost makes it seem like this was ripe for a direct appeal and not an interlocutory appeal. I mean, I'm saying what she says is the court cannot conclude that the legislative defendant's decision not to pursue an appeal is a waiver, and so it makes it seem like she's calling this an appeal and not an interlocutory appeal, if that makes any sense.
Well, I think that I think the difference here, Greg, is that because there was an injunction and that because there was an injunction of a legislative act, a statewide legislative act, I think the legislature has given the Supreme Court authority to hear those directly. And that's a new law. I don't think it's been tested yet. And so that is a little bit of a gray area in between the traditional interlocutory and final judgment appeal. And let me just say one thing. A lot of people have forgotten this point, and it's this. This case already went to the Supreme Court once. This very case went to the Supreme Court once, and they overruled partially Judge Gibson. And I think she's tried really, really hard. I think that's, in my mind, one of the reasons for the delays is she's trying really, really hard not to get overturned on this case again by the same Supreme Court. Well, the same Supreme Court body that the judges are changing because we just had one leave.
So can you also mention the timing? What do you anticipate that the Utah Supreme Court will do as far as hearing this case? And
I think
has
it's
the
almost
legislature
impossible.
The legislature hasn't filed an appeal yet either, right?
Well, no, because
it just happened
she
Friday.
issued this ruling on Friday evening. Okay. She asked the legislature to prepare the judgment for her to sign the partial judgment, which will probably, I would guess, will happen today or tomorrow. And then I think you'll see the appeal happen. So I think it's impossible to predict what the Supreme Court will do. But among its options is it could issue a stay and put things on hold until the end of the, to give it time this year. and it could let things play out. It could sustain her on everything. It could overrule her on everything, and it could overrule her on some things. If I had to guess, my guess is they'll overrule her on some things and not on everything. But that's just a bald-faced guess. I have no idea what they're going to do.
So we've got about 30 seconds, Senator. Could the Supreme Court allow for the ballots in 2026 to look like they did in 2024, the districts?
I think that is within their authority. I'm not predicting what they're going to do because I don't know what they're going to do, but I think that if they issued a full stay, they could hit the reset button and say, we're just going to use the maps from 2024 while we get all this sorted out over the next 2 years.
All right. Thank you. That was Senator Todd Weiler speaking to Judge Gibson's decision that came out late Friday. So on Saturday, early in the morning, we lost President Jeffrey R. Holland of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. He was the president of the Quorum. In fact, the next in line to become the prophet behind Dallin H. Oaks. So we're going to talk about his life and legacy with Sarah Weaver. She's the editor of the Deseret News. Next.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
Rescue, redemption, recovery, re-entry. That's what happens at the Rescue Mission of Salt Lake City.
My name's India.
My name is Kelly.
So I was a heroin addict.
I was living in my car.
Then I decided it was time that I got help.
You don't know what to expect.
The Rescue Mission of Salt Lake does not accept any federal, state, or city funding. Everything is wholly supported through your generous tax-deductible contributions, along with donations of our friends and supporters.
You have a bed, you have a shower. We get everything that we need.
87% of every dollar goes to the Rescue Mission services. The other 13%, hard costs to run the mission building itself.
Like I have that hope now.
Thank goodness.
From the recovery program to a place to lay your head at night, and meals served every morning, afternoon, and evening all year long, as well as food boxes for families in need. The Rescue Mission needs our help.
Like a new life, that newfound hope.
That's what I'm grateful for.
Find out how at rescuesaltlake.org.
What if more reliable didn't mean more expensive? With Xfinity, you can get reliable, fiber-powered Wi-Fi for less. We're talking intelligent gig-speed Wi-Fi for $50 a month. This holiday season through January 4th, Xfinity is offering their best price on gig-speed Wi-Fi. Guaranteed for 5 years. No contracts, no strings attached. You can save $3,000 over Verizon and AT&T. Imagine getting super-fast Wi-Fi at the same price for 5 years. Get everything you need from Xfinity, their best Wi-Fi equipment, even unlimited data, all included, all at their best price. Get ready to be wowed by your Wi-Fi. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary. Savings based on promo and post-promo prices for 1 gig internet, 1 unlimited line, and Peacock Premium versus Verizon 1 gig internet and AT&T 1000 internet with 1 unlimited starter SL line.
CVS Health supports people in the moments that matter, from picking up a prescription to connecting care. With nearly 5 million daily interactions and serving 185 million consumers and 1.5 million healthcare professionals, CVS Health holds a trusted place in healthcare. By simplifying care and improving health, we're helping people get the care they need. Learn more at cvshealth.com/investor day.
You still thinking job change in the new year? Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy. IT? Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI. That's what I did. Really? How? Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up. Sweet. Are classes online or on campus? Both. Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
The new Inside Sources.
So I just have to tell you this. Sarah Weaver joined us at the last week before we broke for Christmas to talk about, big news stories of the year. And I had told her we have an agreement, right? No more breaking news for the rest of the year. Well, on Saturday, President
breaking news.
Jeffrey R. Holland of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles passed away. And I texted her and I said, I thought we had an agreement. So she's here with us. She's the editor of the Deseret News and actually had a personal relationship and connection with President Holland. And I wonder if you can just tell our listeners, tell us about President Holland, tell us what we know about his funeral, and anything else you want to share.
Well, this was an iconic and beloved leader of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He served 31 years as an apostle. He's also a former president of Brigham Young University and commissioner of church education for the church. And so he had this long relationship with everyone, dating back to the devotionals he gave at BYU with his late wife, Pat. They called it the Jeff and Pat Show. Mm-hmm. So you had a whole generation of young people who grew up with him, first as BYU president, then as this church leader who gave the best general conference talks. He was a wordsmith. He had deep compassion. He tackled issues that were personal to people, like depression, like anxiety. He asked people to love and to serve, and they related to his messages.
I was a BYU student a very long time ago, and he was president when I was a BYU student, and I remember some of the Jeff and Pat Show devotionals that they did, and she was a great speaker as well. But you mentioned his talk on depression, and I don't remember what year that was, but I remember just feeling so glad that somebody in the top levels of the church was willing to say depression is a real thing. I've suffered from it, and it's not like it's not a sin. Like it felt like it had been something that had been hush hush talked about or not talked about for a long time. And he just broke that wide open. And I think from there, we've had a lot more willingness to talk about, look, you may have depression and you may need medical support and you may need therapy and you may also need medication. I mean, that was one of the talks for me that really stood out.
And I think the reason he was able to do that is that one of President Holland's superpowers was that he made friends. He made best friends across the globe. Everyone felt like they were his best friend, and it was probably true. So he listened to people, he mourned with people, he cried with people, he connected with people, and then he was able to actually talk about the things that were meaningful to them.
Can I ask you a question? I never ceases to amaze me that the members of the apostles, the quorum of the 12, are people who had served in such high capacities before they became apostles. We talked about President Nelson when he was this noted heart surgeon. Dallin Oaks used to be on the Supreme Court of Utah. And now you're telling us that Jeffrey Holland was president of BYU. I mean, I probably articulated this all wrong, but it seems like we get these people in this position that have already served in such high capacities.
Yeah, and he was a young president of Brigham Young University, and part of his story is his Southern Utah roots. You know, he talks about growing up with red sand in his shoes and being from this place where it was different when he was a kid, right? The wind blew, the Virgin River flooded every year. No one could grow crops. This was a hard life, and his ancestors settled that area. And President Holland was the son of a man who had a 7th grade education. Yet he rose from that, attended Harvard University. His wife studied at Juilliard and became something so much greater. They're the epitome of the American story, and also the result of the grit and tenacity of those Southern Utah roots.
Yeah, that's interesting. His son, Matt, reminds me of him a lot. So Matt is now 70, I think, a general authority. But he was president of UVU, and that's how I met Matt Holland, was when he was president of UVU. So, Sarah, you wrote a piece for the Deseret News just about some of your memories and a personal relationship with President Holland. I wonder if you could just share a little bit about not finding words to describe a wordsmith.
Yeah, it's a very, very daunting task to try and write an article about someone who used words to move his ministry forward in such a powerful, powerful way. And as I was thinking about the moments that had been meaningful to me in his ministry, I went back to a time just a few years ago. It was 2022 when he had visited West Point. Now, this is a storied academy. The world was at war. He gave powerful sermons that day, encouraging those young cadets. And yet, at one moment in the mess hall, he spotted a young cadet who was sort of off from the others. He walked up to that young man and he put his hands on both of his cheeks. And in response, that young man put both of his hands on President Holland's arms. And they stood there and they stared at each other. And it was as if time stood still. It was as if he was doing the ultimate ministering without ever using words. And that was who he was. That was the love he showed. He had a constant consciousness for people around him, and very few people evaded his notice.
What do we know about funeral services and other events that are occurring in relation to his death?
Well, I suspect that when you pass at Christmas time, which he gave a powerful talk on his father's death, who also died at Christmas time. And President Holland himself was a Christmas baby, so this may be timing that he got to choose. Who knows? But his funeral will be Wednesday, and it's a public funeral held in the Tabernacle. He will be interred in St. George, in the St. George Cemetery, where his wife, Sister Patricia Holland, is also buried, and that will be on Thursday. And I suspect they handled those things very quickly because family had come into town for for Christmas or to be with him in his last moments, and now they're going to handle everything before everyone leaves town again.
You know, what struck me this weekend as I was looking at the app that I have on my phone about church news stuff, was that he was part of the First Presidency devotional, even though he wasn't technically part of the First Presidency, but he gave a talk earlier this month about being home for Christmas and how much it meant to be home for Christmas. And here he is passing away just a couple of days after Christmas. I thought that was pretty powerful.
Yeah, he has been such an iconic leader. And I, in that talk and so many other messages, he spoke so much about faith and about challenges and about defining processes. One of my favorite things that he said was in an interview that I did with him in 2023. And he says, on days when we feel we have been pushed to our limit, we are reminded that we won't be pushed beyond our faith. We won't discover just how much strength we do have until it is tested, refined, and tested again. And I think that is his legacy to everyone who knew him, to a global church, and to so many government, civic, other leaders, religious leaders that he interacted with. It was one of enduring and moving forward and being tested and knowing that faith transcends challenges.
Sarah, we're out of time, but I have to ask this question. Just for my own edification, when there's a vacancy in the Quorum of the 12, as there is now, how is that filled?
So President Holland was the president of the Quorum of the 12. That position now goes to the next in the 12, who is the next apostle, who is in line in seniority. That is President Henry B. Eyring, who is first counselor in the First Presidency. So he remains in the First Presidency, becomes president of the Quorum of the 12, and Elder Dieter F. Uchtdorf will become acting president of the Quorum of the 12 and lead that quorum into whatever foreseeable future there is.
Wonderful.
But President Oaks will then call a new apostle too at some undetermined moment in the future.
And sometimes that happens at General Conference in recent times. As early as just the last apostle he called, which was Elder Gerald Cosset, who had been the former presiding bishop of the church, was called outside of that. So if he follows that same pattern, I would think in the next few weeks or months, he will pray and call a new apostle that will then become part of that quorum.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining us again this morning. That was Sarah Weaver from the Deseret News. Alongside President Holland, we lost a lot of important people this year. We're sort of looking back on 2025. We're going to talk about that next, some notable deaths that may have impacted you. And if there are some, please text us at 57500.
9:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Police are investigating a UTA bus stabbing where both the victim and the suspect went to the hospital. Sergeant Conrad Leong says there were 3 passengers on the bus. During the drive, one of the passengers attacked another.
The suspect also got stabbed superficially, so both got stabbed. Unknown how the suspect got stabbed, if he stabbed himself or if the other individual had a weapon to protect himself. So
both the victim and the suspect went to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. With memories of the January 1st terrorist attack still fresh on their minds, the people of New Orleans are watching as National Guard troops fan out across their city this week. ABC's Jim Ryan tells us about the mixed reaction to the deployment.
Earlier this month, federal agents conducted immigration sweeps around southeast Louisiana. Now 350 National Guard troops have landed in New Orleans in time for New Year's, the Sugar Bowl, and Mardi Gras.
If the National Guard's here to prevent terrorist activity, I'm in support of that.
Resident Ari Kosin is conflicted.
If it's here in support of ICE or deportation activity, I'm very much not in support of that.
City leaders say the Guard will support but not replace local police during high-profile events in January and February. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow down 227 points, 0.5% to 48,484. Well, it's sunny out there, but man, is it cold. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Looking for a secure retirement plan without market risk? Look no further. Lyle Boss, president of Boss Financial, specializes in no market risk retirement strategies with guarantees of principal, guaranteed growth, and lifelong income. Join Lyle right here each Saturday and Sunday for his Safe Money radio show, and call him now at 855-355-SAFE for your complimentary customized Safe Money information kit and Safe Money book. Nothing but upside here at 855-355-SAFE.
CVS Health supports people in the moments that matter, from picking up a prescription to connecting care. With nearly 5 million daily interactions and serving 185 million consumers and 1.5 million healthcare professionals, CVS Health holds a trusted place in healthcare. By simplifying care and improving health, we're helping people get the care they need. Learn more at cvshealth.com/investor day.
This is TV's Dr. Travis Stork for Eggland's Best Eggs. Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties: classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Thinking about retirement? Make sure a My Social Security account is a part of your plan. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can find out if you're eligible to receive benefits, compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates, view spousal benefit estimates, and more. Plan for your future. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Jason Jones, what do we got?
It's all clear along the Wasatch Front, Andy. We are having no trouble at all on I-15. If you are north and southbound, north or southbound, I guess I should say, from Spanish Fork all the way up to Ogden, it's going to be accident-free and delay-free drive. If you're up north, 89 Legacy, the West Side Belt, they're all free and clear. No problems right now on Mountain View Corridor, Bangerter Highway. It's been a fairly light commute all morning long. Most people are not at work today, I guess, is really what's going on. And so, consequently, with no accidents and no delays, that's what we've been seeing all morning and what we're seeing now. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, today you could leave a cup outside, at least this morning, and it might freeze, cup of water, but we'll see sunny skies and a high of only 38 degrees, cooling down to as low as 24 overnight. Sunny weather will continue tomorrow. It'll be a little warmer, high of 43. Right now, it's 27 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
You know, Holly, this week has special significance to me with this particular program, and I'll tell you why. Before we started this Inside Sources 6 months ago, we had Dave and Dujanovic, and they had the program for, 6 or 7 years. Prior to that, it was the Doug Wright Show that filled this time slot. And Doug Wright would take the week between Christmas and New Year's off, which is this week, and I filled in for him several years. So this week, I just remember the week between Christmas and New Year's and sitting in this exact seat, 10 years ago, thinking, boy, I could never do this for real. I could never do this every day. I mean, even doing 4 or 5 days filling in for Doug during that specific week was hard. I thought, I can't imagine ever doing it for real.
Well,
and here we
welcome
are.
back to your roots.
Yeah, so this is a special week for me.
Yeah.
We spoke in the last segment about the death of President Jeffrey R. Holland of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, and thinking back on the year that we've had together, just you and I, and looking at some of the people that have passed away. We've addressed a lot of those and talked to some. We even attended a couple of funerals on this very program. But it's been an interesting year, as it always is, to talk about and to think about the people that we lost in 2025.
one of the people that's top on my list, and this was before we started this show, but that was Mia Love, and she passed away in March. She was only 49. And she ended up passing away of glioblastoma, the rapid growing brain tumor. She survived 3 years with it, but that was, for me personally, because we were friends, that one it really hit home. And she has, in fact, I just watched as her youngest left on his LDS mission to the Dominican Republic. And she has a daughter who got married after she passed away, and she has a new grandbaby on the way.
I noticed driving north yesterday on I-15 from where we'd been down in Wayne County that there was a very, very nice tribute billboard to her on I-15 coming up, and it was really a beautiful tribute to her. She's had a lot of accolades since she passed, and a lot of things that have occurred, but deserved all of it.
Yeah. Look, we do have a texter that listed 3 people. Ozzy Osbourne, if you remember, he passed away, and his widow, I think, if I remember right, she, maybe a month or 2 after his death, she talked about how he wanted to die at home, and he was able to do that.
Black Sabbath's leader, Ozzy.
Yep. Charlie Kirk, of course, really big in not only Utah news, but national and even international.
His death occurred right here in Utah.
That's right. And Phil Robertson. So Duck Dynasty, Phil Robertson.
Oh, right. Okay, I was trying to think who Phil Robertson was. Yeah. Yes.
There are more. Who comes to mind for you?
This year, of course, we had the former president of the church,
Russell M. Nelson.
And only because we covered the funeral, the 2 officers from the Garland Tremont and Eric Estrada
and Lee Sorensen.
Sergeant Sorensen.
Yep.
Those were significant deaths to me personally, just working in the law enforcement community as I have over the years.
I thought Robert Redford, right? Finally passing
course.
away the year that hit the year he found out Sundance wasn't going to stay. I don't know.
Right.
Probably not related. I think, let's see, Pope Francis, that was a really big deal as well, right? That the leader of the Catholic Church passed away, and now we have Pope Leo, who has a different style, but a continuation of love for members of the Catholic Church and the world, around the world.
Robert Redford, I don't know why I forgot about him. That was significant in so many ways because he was such an icon to Utah. The Sundance Film Festival was named literally after him because that was the role he played.
Yeah.
And when I was down in southern Utah, they were playing Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid at the theaters down there, and maybe partly in tribute to him.
Yeah. So just this weekend, Brigitte Bardot passed away, and I don't remember a ton about her as an actress except that she was very sultry. And she became a real animal rights activist. And so in honor of her passing, PETA, the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, is asking for mourners to do one kind act for an animal today. But she was 91.
Yeah.
Again, one of the old icons.
And just for those of us that are a little bit older can remember just how stunning she was.
Yeah,
just
very, very stunning.
Yeah, you say, very elegant.
Yeah. I would also say we had Jane Goodall, also in her 90s, I think 91. In fact, I listened to her. So remember, I've told you we have tickets to this Wasatch Speaker Series. She came out and spoke in Utah. She was very well spoken, and she passed away on a speaking tour in between nights that she was supposed to speak.
Yeah, she was staying active.
Staying active. But Jane Goodall.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Right.
I think another one too that we have to talk about at least briefly is Rob Reiner. Right. I mean, that tragedy.
Very recent,
very recently, that tragedy where he was allegedly stabbed to death by his own son and his wife. Anyway, that one is just a huge tragedy. But there's more.
And he wasn't old either.
No.
Rob Reiner, he was still at the top of
his
game.
He's our age.
Right, yeah. Still doing a lot of work, though.
Yeah, so there are other people as well. In fact, Val Kilmer, I think. Is that right?
No. He couldn't have died. Yes.
It is right.
Val Kilmer. I had no idea. He was too young.
He was young, but if I remember correctly, he ended up having cancer, and he passed away from pneumonia related to his cancer treatments.
He was great. He seemed awfully young.
Do you remember Anthony Geary? You probably don't, but did you ever watch General Hospital?
No.
That was a thing my grandma used to watch a ton.
My mom used to watch it, right.
So he was, he portrayed Luke in the soap opera General Hospital. So Luke and Laura, it was a huge thing.
Yes.
So Anthony Geary, he was actually born in Utah, but so he passed away. There are several others. Right? It's just...
Yeah, you look back on 2025 and we had so many that happened just within the last... I mean, we're talking about President Jeffrey R. Holland, who passed away just Saturday morning from the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, and the sort of the change in the leadership of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in relation to Russell M. Nelson and now Jeffrey R. Holland.
Here's another one with the Utah connection, Wayne Osmond. So... He was a baritone. Yeah, he was 1/4 of the original Osmond Brothers Quartet. He passed away almost exactly a year ago because he died on January 1st of 2025.
So I asked you earlier because I thought Jimmy Carter passed away in 2025, but he didn't?
No, he passed away 1 year ago today exactly.
So just within, okay. Because late 2024.
Late, yeah. His funeral was in 2025. Right. Yeah, but he actually passed away exactly 1 year ago. Gene Hackman died.
Great actor.
In February. Roberta Flack passed away. We also have Richard Chamberlain. I don't know if you remember him either, but he played Dr. Kildare in a medical drama in the 1960s. But I remember him as the priest who fell in love with a woman in The Thornbirds. That dates me from when I was
another sort of
long time ago.
Brigitte Bardot, elegant, old school actor.
Yeah, actually, Val Kilmer did die April 1st, 2025. All right, well, David Lynch and Brian Wilson also. Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys. So anyway, when we come back, we're going to talk about Utah prosecutions for internet child sex crimes. They surged in 2025, and we're going to talk about why the surge and also how to keep your kids safe. Stay with us.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Charlie's battery is struggling to start. Not ideal before the tailgate, so he goes to AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone,
where a friendly AutoZoner tests his battery for free. Looks like he needs a new one, so he gets a Duralast battery.
Have fun and stay warm.
And he makes it to the tailgate early enough to get his favorite spot. Free battery testing and charging. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Held over due to popular demand. This is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Ebenezer Scrooge, you have yet a chance of escaping my fate.
Ah, humbug.
You still have time to get a Mountain America Rewards credit card and earn 3 times the points on every dollar spent, but only through the stroke of midnight on December 31st.
I suppose I can learn to enjoy the holidays with triple rewards.
Apply today and learn more at macu.com/triple.
Membership required based on eligibility. Loans on approved credit offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. Limited time offer. Business cards not eligible.
The Utah Mammoth and Smiths.
are teaming up to get you to the game. With qualifying Smith's purchases, you can score single goal view tickets, hot dog and a bottle of water included, for just $15. The catch? These tickets go fast. Download the Utah Mammoth app, enable push notifications, and be the first to know when new tickets are released. Shop at Smith's, then snag your seat for $15. Simple. Grab the Utah Mammoth app today and watch for the next release. Tusks up.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for kids, teens, or young adults. It's just not.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals and volatile organic compounds into your body.
And nicotine, the same highly addictive substance found in regular cigarettes.
Nicotine can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s,
affecting learning, memory, attention, and impulse control, and priming the brain for other addictions.
Vaping products also come in kid-friendly flavors that can make them appealing to youth.
And many kids also use other drugs, like marijuana, in vaping devices.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping, because when you talk, they hear you.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Mom and Dad used to argue about everything, especially about Dad's drinking. My family went from totally crazy to quiet, calm, and even peaceful when Mom started going to Al-Anon family groups. I wanted a better relationship with Dad, so I asked Mom if she would take me to her Al-Anon meetings or to Alateen. I'm sure glad I did. Is someone's drinking troubling you? You might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon or Alateen family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-ALANON or go to alanon.org.
Inside Sources.
You know, one of the things I've been involved with during my career as a defense attorney and as a former prosecutor, I was the head of the sex crimes unit at the DA's office, is crimes against children. And Utah has a very active, through the Attorney General's office and through law enforcement, internet crimes against children. We call it ICAC. What surprised me a little bit, though, is a study that I'm looking at that shows that the Attorney General's office prosecuted more than double the number of internet crimes against children this year than they did last year. According to one study, at the time this was printed, which was a couple weeks ago, they had already prosecuted 179 cases this year as compared to 71 last year.
Wow.
I mean, it's a crime that when I started practicing, we didn't prosecute at all because we didn't have the internet. You know, it was, and so we've had to adapt, and we've had to sort of create these agencies within agencies to look at these particular crimes, because we don't realize until you get into it how many people are really looking on the internet to commit crime, and to do so in a way that, I mean, some of these cases just would break your heart.
I'm sure I don't want to know the details, actually.
No, you don't.
We do have Stuart Young with us. He's leader of the criminal department of the Utah Attorney General's office. Thanks for joining us this morning, Stuart.
Hi, good morning. How are you doing?
Great, Stu. So can you tell us, is it a function of more prosecution, more law enforcement, or more people committing the crime? But why would we see a spike in these crimes involving internet crimes against children?
So, I mean, I think there's a combination of factors. One of the things is we have really good agents at the Attorney General's office who run our ICAC unit, but our ICAC unit isn't just agents from the Attorney General's office. We have more than 90 affiliates throughout the state who are essentially a number of task force officers who are trained by the agents in the Attorney General's office to find these cases, to investigate these cases. And our ICAC unit has been doing just incredible work increasing the training and increasing the quality of the training for these affiliates throughout the state. And so these affiliates, they're finding more cases, they're investigating these cases in a very high quality way. And so that's allowing these cases both to be brought to the Attorney General's office, and we prosecute them in-house, but they're also prosecuted by the various county attorneys throughout the state as well. And so I think that's part of it. Another part of it is Attorney General Derek Brown made protecting children, one of the big cornerstones of his candidacy, and this is one of the ways that we are also trying to fulfill that, to increase the number of prosecutions to protect kids throughout the state.
So, Stuart, I'm going to show my naivete here. What type of crimes is ICAC going after?
That's a good question. Sure. No. So we call ICAC, it's internet crimes against children, but it's a little bit of a catch-all. We do CSAM prosecution, so that's child sex abuse material. We don't call it child pornography anymore. We call it CSAM, and so it'll be like production of CSAM, distribution of CSAM, possession of CSAM, and then also enticement. So essentially, kind of internet enticement to abuse children. So those are the main crimes that ICAC will be investigating and prosecuting. Basically, anything that involves hurting kids online.
And that's a great. I'm glad you said hurting kids online, because a lot of people, especially those that are perpetrators, and I deal with these, obviously, I see them in my practice, and you've been
Sure.
a prosecutor, will say that the CSAM isn't really you're not harming a child, but a child had to be harmed to create the images, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And look, I understand the argument that some defense counsel will make about kind of gradations of these crimes. The production of CSAM is horrendous, right? Because it is, they are actually, abusing the child to make the CSAM. The distribution of that CSAM is also horrendous because the victim is continually victimized by it being distributed out to other people. And then the possession of it is also horrendous because it fuels, that possession generally fuels the appetite for CSAM, for both the production and the distribution. So all of those crimes, we believe, are bad for kids, and that's why we prosecute all of them.
Can I ask you a question about AI production of child abuse material?
Sure.
Is that something that your office is going after also?
So that's an area that we are looking at right now, and there's just a lot of kind of regulation in this industry that it's a little bit difficult for me to talk about right now, and there's different administrations that are looking at different regulations there, and so that's an area that we're still exploring. But we don't have kind of definitive things that we're able to deal with on that right now.
Stu, can you talk to us about the enticement cases? And I'll tell you my experience here, similar to yours probably, is this: that when the Attorney General's office and the ICAC unit sets up what we call a sting, purporting to be an underage female, usually, it's shocking to me the number of people that will engage in these conversations. I mean, it's I don't know, this is a question that may be rhetorical, but doesn't it seem like every time you set something like this up, it just people they come to the website and think that they're really talking and trying to meet with a young underage person?
Absolutely, Greg. What we do. A lot of people think about sting operations on, the stuff that Chris Matthews would do on Dateline. That's not as much of kind of what we do. Our things are called what we call undercover chat operations. So essentially, it's sometimes there will just be a work where the group will put together an undercover persona. And then they will essentially put that persona out there. And here's an example. We did one a while ago, and I watched this happen in real time, where an agent had put together a persona that appeared to be essentially a 13 or 14-year-old girl from Utah. And all he did was write on the messaging platform, so sad, just broke up with my boyfriend. That was it. That was all he wrote. Within about 2 minutes, there were 20 to 25 replies. Some of them were perfectly benign. Oh, that's too bad. Oh, so sad. Some of them were concerning, and some of them were heinous. Within about 5 minutes, there were 50 replies. And so, to be perfectly blunt, it becomes a very target-rich environment. And our agents don't always have the ability to go down all of those different rabbit holes. Some of them are, maybe people who are not in Utah. Some of them, maybe. Anyway, so it takes the agents. They end up with too many leads, I guess, is the way to put it on some of these what we'll call sting operations. And our agents do a very good job of kind of filtering through to kind of figure out which are the people that should be kind of further looked at. They'll do, search warrants. They'll do other things, other investigative techniques. And then ultimately, if there is a potential charge, then we will, potentially charge them. But yeah, it was sad. I had actually never been part of that before, and it was eye-opening to me to see how quickly just random people would respond to random young women on the internet, and it was sad.
It really is. That was Stuart Young, leader of the Criminal Department of Utah, and Stu is a friend of mine and one of our state's really top prosecutors. When we come back, Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing political activist Charlie Kirk, is back in court today. We'll talk about that after this.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. President Jeffrey R. Holland of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has passed away. He died Saturday morning from complications with kidney disease, surrounded by family. President Holland has served as an apostle for the church since 1994. In his very first General Conference talk in 1983, 6 years before his calling to the First Quorum of the 70, then Elder Holland told Latter-day Saints that a faith education begins at home.
It is increasingly clear that we must teach the gospel to our families and live those teachings in our homes, or run the risk of discovering too late that a primary teacher or priesthood advisor or seminary instructor could not do for our children what we would not do.
He was BYU's 9th president, and he also served as dean of the College of Religious Education at BYU. His funeral will be held Wednesday at 11 a.m., and we'll carry it here on KSL News Radio. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Donald Trump is scheduled to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today. Comes just after President Trump met with Ukrainian President Zelensky this weekend. In his meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister, President Trump hopes to leverage his relationship with Netanyahu to speed up the peace process. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 268 points, over 0.5% to 48,442. Coming up, it's sunny, but it is sure cold. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 10:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Between all the holiday parties,
weekend tailgates,
and family get-togethers,
we've been overindulging a little more than usual over the holidays. But now, we are starting the new year off on a healthier note by taking Active Liver supplements from New Nordic every day.
Active Liver contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, all natural ingredients that help protect the liver so that it can protect you from toxins. It's like giving my body a daily detox. I've never felt better, and my energy is through the roof.
And my doctor is already impressed with how much better my numbers are looking. So if better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com. Or pick some up today at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, are now available at Wegmans. New year, new you, new Nordic.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form, cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General, at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Jason Jones.
And you've got a couple of cars in a disagreement. This is eastbound on I-80. Right about 3200 west is where it is. Now, they're off to the right shoulder. There's an emergency vehicle on scene, so shouldn't affect traffic. Just don't get caught up in those flashing lights and, lose control of your vehicle while you're traveling through there. Otherwise, though, the rest of I-15 is looking pretty fantastic, or the rest of the commute, I guess I should say, is looking fantastic. Both north and southbound, between Spanish Fork and Ogden. There's just no delays anywhere, no other accidents to speak of. Belt route is looking good, and no problems if you're coming out of Tooele through that construction zone at Lake Point. That one's also moving smoothly at this time. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today will be sunny, but it's cold, and the highs will only get into the upper 30s, maybe 38 at the highest. Tomorrow it'll be a little warmer, getting into the low 40s. Right now, though, 28 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Tyler Robinson, the individual accused of killing Charlie Kirk in Utah County several months ago, has court this morning. He's not there personally. He's there virtually. The judge is addressing the attorneys right now. They're dealing with a couple motions involving access to the media and whether or not the prosecution should be recused from the case. Let's join the judge live.
After full consideration of these arguments, the court determined that 246 words, approximately 1 page of the 80-page transcript, should be redacted. No other portions of the transcript were found to warrant restriction. The court further notes that the matters addressed during the October 24th hearing, including issues related to civilian clothing and shackling, are best understood when considered in their full context. The limited scope of the redactions reflect the court's effort to preserve that context to the greatest extent possible. The redacted transcript will be promptly filed on the docket by the end of today. The corresponding audio recording will require additional time to ensure that it precisely reflects the approved redactions and that no protected material is inadvertently disclosed. The court anticipates the audio recording will be available within approximately 2 weeks. This court notes the importance of the audio in addition to the transcript, because hearing what was said and how it was said is equally as important as just the transcript itself. The court's sole objective in this process has been to ensure a fair, orderly, and lawful proceeding that reflects the constitutional rights of the parties while honoring the public's qualified right of access. The court notes that the standing decorum order has also been updated and directs all parties to review the order in advance of future hearings. Accordingly, the court now issues the following order regarding the classification of the transcript and audio recording of the October 24th hearing. And turning to the order itself. The state of Utah and defendant Tyler James Robinson filed a motion to classify the transcript and audio of the sealed October 24th, 2025 hearing as private. Because the press requested notice of all such motions, the court held a closure hearing on December 11th, 2025 to address the classification of the transcript and audio recording of the October 24th, 2025 hearing. Prior to that closure hearing, the parties filed a joint status report identifying some 20 provisions of the transcript for redaction and stating that the balance of the transcript may be classified as public. Having reviewed the relevant pleadings from the parties and representatives of the press and heard oral arguments during the December 11th closure hearing, the court now rules and orders as follows. The public has a presumptive right to access court records. See Utah Rules Judicial Administration 202.02 sub 1. That right, however, is not absolute. To support and achieve certain interests and objectives, a court may close portions or entire court records. A court may consider any relevant factor, interest, or policy, both in favor.
There have been a couple of hearings in this Charlie Kirk case, Tyler Robinson case, that were sealed and not open to the public. The media has requested access to those, and the judge is addressing how and to what extent the media can have access to those transcripts.
The court must balance the interests favoring opening and closing the record, and if it determines to close the record, determine there are no reasonable alternatives to closure. The parties have argued, and the court has considered, the following policy interests in determining the motion. 1, protecting safety interests. 2, protecting privacy interests and non-party participants. And 3, protecting the defendant's right to a fair trial. Approximately half the portions of the transcript the parties seek to redact address courtroom and courthouse security measures. Safety concerns are well recognized as justification for closure of court records. This undoubtedly includes references in the court record to specific safety measures undertaken as part of the court security plan and practices in highly publicized cases. This case generates extraordinary ongoing national and international attention, some of which is threatening in nature to the parties, their representatives, and non-party participants. The safety and well-being of all involved in this matter outweighs the interests of the public that are served by open court records. Nevertheless, and as the parties recognize, the court need not seal the entire transcript and audio of the October 24th, 2025 hearing to protect the safety interests of all those involved. Redacting selective portions of the transcript and the audio that reference security measures will serve safety interests while allowing for as much public access to the remainder of the record as possible. The court hereby orders the redaction of the portions of the transcript corresponding audio referencing security measures identified in the parties' joint status report and further pared down during the closure hearing. These include the following portions of the October 24th, 2025 hearing transcript. Page 4, line 19 through 22, following the word unshackling until the sentence begins with.
What happened at that hearing was, and the judge is addressing it, members of the sheriff's office testified about some security measures that are taking place, and the parties are trying to keep that away from the media for obvious reasons. The judge is addressing what parts of it can be disclosed and what parts of it are still going to be redacted.
The word proceeding and ending before the word but. page 5, line 18 and 19, including the entirety of the bailiff's comment. Page 33, lines 17 through 18, following the word courtroom until the end of the sentence. Page 34, lines 5 through 7, following the word arrested until the end of that sentence. Page 35, lines 24 through 25, including the last sentence of that page. Page 36, line 1, including the first word on the page until the sentence begins with the word that's. Page 40, line 12 through line 16, following the word outside until the word...
There was a hearing, and they're trying to decide, the media, how much of it they're allowed to have, because the hearing was sealed. It was closed to the public, I should say. The media has intervened. Both parties, both the prosecution and defense, have asked the court to keep that proceeding sealed. The media is prevailing a little bit, and the judge has decided that there are portions of it that will be allowed in and portions that will not, and he's sort of going through those now.
5, lines 12 through 13, following the word people and ending before the sentence beginning with the word so. Page 64, line 18 through 19, following the word Ben until...
There's another motion that I hope that the judge addresses, and that was a motion by the defense to exclude the Utah County Attorney's Office from doing this case. They filed a very lengthy motion. I don't know whether the judge is going to address that, but if he does, we want to stay with him because the defense has claimed that one of the prosecutors involved in the case has a conflict of interest because of information he received actually during the shooting that may have disqualified him and in effect disqualifies the entire office. I thought that that motion will be considered today also, but let's see what the judge decides on the media access first.
The parties initially identified 6 portions of the transcript to be redacted based off privacy interests. During the closure hearing, the parties withdrew defendants' requested numbers 1, 2, and 11. The remaining 3 requests were significantly pared down. The court has already ordered the redaction of request 3 for security reasons, including page 34.
We'll come back to this later. The judge is going through the bit-by-bit parts of the transcript of that October hearing and deciding what parts will come in and what will not. When the judge gets to the other issues involving prosecution and whether or not the prosecution can stay on the case or not, we may break away to him again. But when we come back, we're going to take a quick break. It is the season to look back on the year that was, and joining us in studio will be Jay Evenson, opinion editor of the Deseret News, to talk about some of the top stories of the year, including the one that we're listening to right now. We'll be right back.
Often, we see people we don't know, sleeping on the sidewalk or maybe asking for money. You may think to yourself, wonder how this person ended up in that situation. The rescue mission of Salt Lake changes people's lives and helps them become the person they were truly meant to be. They just need a little help to get back on track. The rescue mission relies 100% on public support and receives no government funding. Those small donations can add up to transform someone's life. In as little as 12 months, a person can move from homelessness to stability, gain an education and life skills mentoring, to employment, housing, and self-sufficiency. Additionally, the rescue mission provides daily meals and offers an emergency shelter every night, plus hygiene, clothing, and a warming center, all to help those on the street get off the street and change their life. Visit Rescue Mission of Salt Lake now. That's rescuesaltlake.org, because a little donation goes a long way.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
This new year, get started on your next success with University of Maryland Global Campus. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start January 7th. An accredited state university, UMGC offers online and hybrid classes while giving you a head start on 2026. Earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel you attract people who tend to be compulsive or abusive?
Do you have money problems because of someone else's drinking?
Are you afraid or embarrassed to bring your friends home?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
More than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
And expanded Inside Sources.
So this week between Christmas and New Year's is typically a week where people think about New Year's resolutions that they might be making, goals for the coming year, but also looking backwards. And we have Jay Evenson with us, the opinion editor for the Deseret News. And I wanted to talk to him about both things. So let's start with an article that you just wrote about what people a century ago can teach us about New Year's. So 1925.
1925. I like to do this for New Year's, go back 100 years and see what we were writing about and what people were worried about or concerned about. That was the middle of Prohibition, so you read a lot on New Year's Day about how people were trying to outsmart federal agents, and there were stories too indicating that the federal agents were, quite voluntarily looking the other way and not, so interested in arresting people on New Year's Eve. But there are some other interesting things. By the way, President Calvin Coolidge went to bed early. That was reported in every newspaper. I thought that was interesting. But one of the things that caught my eye, Deseret News on New Year's Day, 1926, had a story about gambling and college football. And they were wondering about the future of college football. What's going to happen to it? We can't let the gamblers into the game. And I thought, I could be writing that for this New Year's coming up here. I mean, it's the same thing, and it's one of the themes that I've hit through the year. We're just as concerned today as we were back then. So it's interesting to see some of the similarities. There was some violence on New Year's Eve as well in Chicago. There were several people. There was one person killed and several people injured. Actually, it was a 5-year-old girl who was killed. It was very tragic. But the way they reported it was just like, this happened in Chicago, nothing about an arrest or an investigation. Just some people just decided to shoot off their guns at midnight. So, we tend to idealize the past and think it's this wonderful place where everything was better. And that's not always the case. And the more you look back at newspapers from 100 years ago, the more you realize we haven't changed that much. Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned gambling and prohibition, which were issues that were big at that time. And they, let's face it, we still deal with substance abuse and alcohol and regulation and what we can do about that. I mean, the cat's out of the bag, and we'll probably never go back to prohibition.
Yeah.
And the cat's kind of getting out of the bag on gambling in sports as well. And even we're seeing now athletes being paid in ways that we never even dreamt of 100 years ago.
Right.
You look at where we've come, and I agree with everything you're saying, Jay, that these issues we're dealing with them 100 years later, but we have taken some steps toward realizing that there's only so much regulation you could do with respect to things like gambling and with respect to alcohol.
Well, there are some people who are saying we're really not doing enough to regulate gambling. There's no agency in Washington that's looking at it, that's seeing what the effects are. What we haven't really talked about in this country is the effect that it's having on individuals. We don't have a good number for how many problem gamblers, addicted gamblers there are out there, or what the legalization of sports betting has done to increase that level. And yet a lot of experts are saying it really has. We're seeing a lot more calls to hotlines and problem gambling centers. And it's something I think we need to come to terms with. It's affecting our culture and our society, and we're really not paying attention to the effects so much. It's kind of the Wild West. You know, you can advertise during games to gamble and bet, and we'll give you this much free money, and et cetera, and nobody seems to be regulating or concerned about it.
It strikes me that NIL might be a new addition to the gambling question, right? So payments to college athletes.
Well, whenever money is involved, you have to pay very close attention, and there's a lot of money involved in NIL. And here in Utah, our legislature has decided that that's not public information. That's kept under wraps because they want Utah public universities to be competitive and able to bid for players without other people knowing what they're bidding. So there's some real questions there about the future and whether it's the term student athlete, I guess, is no longer really in vogue because they're more like professional players. And is that what we want? Do we want our college teams to be just sort of NFL minor league teams? I don't know.
Let's talk about prohibition for a minute. What was the sentiment in the country 100 years ago? Right now, you would think we look back and think that was nuts. It was never going to work. What was the sentiment at the time? Let's do away with it, or it was a good idea, or what was the take you were getting from 100 years ago?
I think things were beginning to change about 1925. So there had been a real strong public sentiment against drinking and in favor of prohibition. Otherwise,
Right.
you never would have passed a constitutional amendment in 1918, I think it was. But by 1925, 26, I think things were starting to change, and we were seeing a real increase in organized crime surrounding prohibition, and a lot of people were seeing the violence that was happening in Chicago and other places, and it was starting to change. So, and I think you were seeing more politicians from 26 forward that were running on a platform of doing away with prohibition. So I think 25, 26 was kind of a transition era where people were getting a little bit annoyed at it. And obviously, from what I was reading, a lot of people were drinking and just trying to conceal it.
Yeah, and it's like with gambling, when organized crime gets involved, the government almost has to jump in, Jay, and say, look, we're going to have this. There is going to be alcohol. There is going to be gambling. Let's have it federally regulated so that we're not having it regulated by
Well, it gave birth to Elliot Ness and a lot of interesting storylines for the media.
I'm wondering if you could talk about one or two of the top stories that you have written about this year.
Thank you. Yes, I think the top thing for me was a trip I took to Bangladesh in February of this year. And I've been following Bangladesh and its new interim leader, Muhammad Yunus, for about 28 years since I first met him in Salt Lake. And very fascinating, interesting man who has ideas for ending global poverty through microcredit loans to the very poorest of people. It's a revolutionary and interesting idea, and it's shown a lot of success. And there was a coup, a revolution in his country of Bangladesh in 2024, in the summer of 2024. And the revolutionaries, when they had succeeded in overthrowing the former prime minister, turned to Muhammad Yunus and said, "We want you to be our leader." So I went to my editors and said, "Gee, it'd be kind of interesting to go over there and see what's happening and how he's trying to turn things around." And they approved that trip, and I spent a week there interviewing people. It was fascinating.
You know, one of the things from that story that I thought was very fascinating, not only did you talk with Muhammad Yunus, but you talked with, I'm going to probably describe it incorrectly, but the leader of the resistance?
Yeah.
Or one of the leaders?
You could say the revolution. They're openly calling it a revolution.
Okay.
Yeah, Mahfouz Alam. And he has just this expansive, wonderful vision of the future of a free Bangladesh. He sees it as a center for education and religious freedom, and kind of a ancient Cairo of South Asia. It was just wonderful talking to him and kind of getting that spirit of what he wanted to have happen. And the young revolutionaries there, Mahfouz is, I think, in his early 30s, have formed a new political party. They are the future of Bangladesh. 2026 is going to be an interesting year over there because Muhammad Yunus has called for elections in February. And if they can pull off free and fair elections, I think it will be a fantastic thing for South Asia and particularly for Bangladesh. It's well worth watching. There are a lot of forces there that want to stop that free and fair election. And there could be some violence. It'd be interesting. Stay tuned.
We've got about 30 seconds, but what can we learn in America about what's happening there? What can we learn from what's happening there in terms of what we're doing here in this country? And talking about elections, just raise that with me.
Muhammad Yunus has taken an interesting tact. He's taken the top leaders of the competing parties and brought them together to have talks. So he's trying to make sure that everybody is on board with the reforms they need to do in order to change things. He told me that the biggest surprise he had when he took over the country was just how deep-seated corruption is. And he has been working so hard to get rid of it, but he desperately wants to get all the political leaders on board. It doesn't matter what you think about, certain issues. I mean, they're all different political parties, but let's be in agreement on these basic reforms to a free and fair, independent judiciary, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I've said we need to do in this country. We need to have talk about more about what we are in agreement of, and maybe even pass around the Constitution and have everybody sign and saying that we still believe in these principles, no matter what our personal feelings are on other issues.
Take a second look at it. That's right.
Jay, thanks for being willing to stick around. And we're going to talk about some of the top opinion and perspective stories that the Deseret News ran this year. So stay with us.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Breaking news, Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing political activist Charlie Kirk, was back in court today, virtually. A judge has ruled that some of the information during that closed portion of his hearing earlier this month will be made public. It is possible the judge will also address the issue of a Utah County prosecutor's possible conflict of interest. A woman is unresponsive in the hospital after police say she was stabbed by her son in their Bountiful home. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
It was on Saturday when Bountiful police say the son and mother got into an argument. The man grabbed a knife and stabbed his mother twice. His brother was there and tells police he pushed the knife away from the man to prevent her from being stabbed again. On last update, Bountiful police say the woman is intubated and unresponsive in the intensive care unit.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Flu season is in full swing, and it's already hit record numbers in some states. ABC News medical contributor Dr. Darian Sutton has tips on what people can do to stay healthy.
Number one, making sure that you work to reduce your risk. That includes masking, washing our hands, making sure if you can to get your flu vaccine, and just simply understanding that the flu is so much more than a simple cold. I am treating it in the emergency room. Understand that people are coming in feeling like they are so sick that it has to be something else than the flu. It's not proving more severe overall, the same numbers, but it's severe in terms of the numbers. And by that I mean more hospitalizations, more people in the ER.
The latest CDC data shows nearly 5 million flu cases across the country. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 299 points. That's 0.6% to 48,411. Coming up, the cold temperatures stick around for today and tomorrow. We'll check traffic and weather together next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Rocky Mountain Gun Shows. Don't miss the Rocky Mountain Gun Show, Saturday and Sunday, January 3rd and 4th at Western Sports Park in Farmington. Stock up on wholesale ammo with no limit on quantity. Get 500 rounds of 9mm ammo for just $85. Shop our massive selection of firearms, mags, knives, and outdoor equipment. It's the Rocky Mountain Gun Show, so you know it'll be good. Rocky Mountain Gun Shows.
CVS Health supports people in the moments that matter, from picking up a prescription to connecting care. With nearly 5 million daily interactions and serving 185 million consumers and 1.5 million healthcare professionals, CVS Health holds a trusted place in healthcare. By simplifying care and improving health, we're helping people get the care they need. Learn more at cvshealth.com/investor day.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Come on, the meeting's already started.
Sometimes it's important.
Last call, boarding gate number 9.
Sometimes it's urgent.
Trip through alarm.
Sometimes it's vital. Hospital treatment within 1 hour of a stroke can prevent lifelong disability. If you notice someone experiencing sudden weakness on one side or having a problem speaking, walking, or seeing, call 911 fast. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Jason Jones.
Well, the emergency vehicle is still on scene eastbound I-80 at 3200 West, but the vehicles that were involved in the accident are gone. So, you shouldn't really have to worry. You didn't really have to worry anyway because it wasn't blocking traffic, but just know that emergency vehicle is still there, north and southbound I-15. No trouble from Payson all the way to Ogden. It's looking great in both directions. Belt route is looking fine, and no really other delays that we're seeing. If you're headed up into the canyons, it's actually pretty nice up there as well. Might see some snow off to the side of the roads, but not on the roads themselves. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, the sunshine's nice, but it's going to stay pretty cold today. Only a high of 38 expected right tomorrow, maybe as high as 43. Right now, it is 30 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So I think one of the things that is fun is to look back at things that happened during the year. In fact, when you and I were talking about famous people who had passed away, we already had forgotten some.
Oh, yeah,
right?
several.
I mean, no disrespect to them. But one of the people that passed away earlier this year was my friend Mia Love. And when I asked Jay Evenson, the opinion editor for the Deseret News, if he would stay and talk about this, the number one opinion story from the year was really the last thing that Mia wrote. And she called it My Living Wish for the America I Know. Do you want to talk to us about that, Jay?
Yes, absolutely. There's probably nothing more powerful than somebody writing knowing that they're going to pass away. I think about John McCain, some of the things he said at the end. That politics is not a part. This is the unvarnished truth. And Mia Love wrote a powerful piece that was sent to us, as you said, right before she passed. I just want to quote a little bit from it here. I thought it was so wonderful. She said, "As my season of life begins to draw to a close, I still passionately believe that we can revive the American story we know and love. I am convinced that our citizens must remember the principles of our story so that our children and those seeking freedom around the world will know where to look to find a place for their story. We must fight to keep the America we know as that shining city on a hill, truly the last best hope on earth. Like Benjamin Franklin and countless patriots down through the years, I believe the American experiment is not a setting sun, but a rising sun. That was so well said.
Yeah, and I remember seeing that got national attention for sure. There are a lot of her former colleagues in the U.S. House of Representatives that were reposting and sharing, and because she said, look, my battle is coming to an end, the treatments are not responding, and I think she passed away like 12 days later, maybe after she wrote this, but there are a lot of people around the country who are reading this, and just when you mentioned reflections on the end of life, we're seeing that now from former Senator Ben Sasse and how he found out that he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He will not beat this, and he knows that, so that can be really, really powerful.
Jay, another story from 2025 that I think we can't forget at all was the killing of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University and how we reacted to it, because it happened here. It happened in Utah, and I think that hit our state much, much harder than it would have had occurred anywhere else.
A very traumatic day, and our House editorial that day talked about how this was really an attack on all Americans. And we said violence is the opposite of freedom. In a nation that declares free speech as a foundational human right, it is intolerable. Its intention is to end speech, to impose might as a deciding factor, not ideas that rise through a marketplace of freely expressed thoughts. Such a tragedy, but because what he was doing was exercising free speech, it really was an attack on the fundamental principles of what it means to be an American and what one of the strengths of our nation is. We're taught at least I was taught in school that the words of Voltaire, I may not agree with a word that you say, but I will defend till death the right for you to say it. And that's who we are.
Yeah, interesting. The third story in the list was one by Sarah Weaver. She was here earlier talking about the death of President Jeffrey Holland, but she also wrote a piece about President Russell M. Nelson, who passed away in September. Do you want to touch on that briefly?
Certainly, yes. This was a wonderful piece, too. And she talks about how President Nelson saw everyone not as who they were, but as they had the potential to become. And those words have stuck with me. And I think, wow, do I really see people that way, or do I make flash judgments on who they are by what they do? I often thought about this with my children, when they were in those young stages or teenagers acting out. Can I really see them as who they will be as adults and who they have the potential to become? And I have great children. They've turned out wonderfully, but I'm not sure that when they were little I could see them quite the way they are today. That is something that a powerful and strong religious leader has, I think, as a gift, the ability to see people as who they really are.
When you publish pieces like this, Jay, we're talking about, and we're getting through a couple of these. There are many more. Mia Love, Charlie Kirk, President Russell M. Nelson. What kind of response do you usually get from your readers? And because I read those sometimes too, the comments to your comments. What kind of responses did you get to some of these?
I tend not to read my responses.
I agree.
Smart.
I do too.
And there are a lot of papers around the country that have stopped printing those kind. I do.
I'm in favor of that, by the way.
Yeah. Well, there are occasionally some very thoughtful and good, I should say. We have some very good readers. We have some who just like to respond to stories and hear themselves, type, I guess. But we do have some very thoughtful ones, and ones that I've enjoyed and have learned from through the past. So I shouldn't say that I never read them. I do, but sometimes they're disappointing.
I've written some.
Those are some of the best, most insightful ones that we've had, I'm sure.
There is another one on the list, and this one is by Shima Boffman, and she's been a guest on our show several times. In fact, she came on to talk about this very article, And she wrote an article on the Constitution. She says it's not partisan. It protects us all. The thing about Shima is she was a refugee from Iran. Her mother was arrested for political speech, basically, and thrown into prison. She was freed after a couple of years, and then they fled the country. They ended up eventually making it into the United States, and now she teaches down at BYU. But I love what she said really about the Constitution of the United States being for everyone. And she says this: to brand the Constitution as partisan cheapens its genius, weakens the unity it was designed to create, and undermines the very rights that aim to safeguard all of us. And, I just thought that was a really powerful reminder that the Constitution, we don't get to weaponize it against, quote unquote, the other side.
Yes. We can learn so much from refugees and asylum seekers, and down through the years, some of the stories that I've done that I've enjoyed doing the most are features on those types of people. I remember one in particular, and this was a Thanksgiving probably about 10 years ago, but he came from the Congo, and he had been grabbed by rebels when he was about 8 or 9, and had been kept under horrible circumstances and drugged and forced to kill people. And he had finally escaped when he was about 18, never had a day in school. He ends up in a UN refugee camp and then finally gets resettled to Salt Lake City, of all places. And he told me the story of struggling to learn English, and he was a physician's assistant at St. Mark's Hospital. I mean, he had really come a long way. And his big thing was he didn't think the young people of America understood what they had, the freedoms they had, the ability they had to get ahead in life, to learn, to get a free education. And he got so upset when he saw what he thought were kids who were not taking advantage of everything they were given because it had meant so much to him. I really think we can learn a lot from those people.
Thanks, Jay. That was Jay Evenson from the Deseret News, and you're always so accommodating to us. It was an interesting year, to say the least, wasn't it?
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
When we come back, we're going to talk about the Utah legislature and who's in and who's out in terms of their re-election when we come back.
Don't say it. Don't say it's bigger than you. It's not. One person can make a difference, and Rescue Mission of Salt Lake can show you how. Winter is here. Yet over 500 people every night remain unsheltered in Utah, sleeping in parks, vacant lots, or wherever they can lay their head and find rest. Is that bigger than you? Now when Rescue Mission of Salt Lake is here to help. The journey of healing often begins with simple things: a meal, a good night's sleep, a warm greeting. Sponsor a meal for just over $1 or a night of shelter for $7. As a privately funded faith-based organization, the Rescue Mission does not receive federal, state, or city funding. They're supported through your tax-deductible contributions. One person, that's right, you can make a difference and change a life today by saying you'll be part of the solution. RescueSaltLake.org is where you start. It's not bigger than you because you can make a difference. RescueSaltLake.org.
Who doesn't love winning? Right now, at KSL.com/win, you'll find exciting contests with prizes you actually want. Tickets, gift cards, and more. It's fast, it's free, and you can enter in just a few clicks. New contests are added all the time, so there's always another chance to win big. Don't miss out. Visit KSL.com/win today and enter to win. That's KSL.com/win.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Charlie's battery is struggling to start. Not ideal before the tailgate, so he goes to AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone,
where a friendly AutoZoner tests his battery for free. Looks like he needs a new one, so he gets the Duralast battery.
Have fun and stay warm.
And he makes it to the tailgate early enough to get his favorite spot. Free battery testing and charging. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Join KSL and the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1 at the Salt Lake NPS store on 1600 Empire Road in Salt Lake City. Go to npsstore.com.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night, too. Did you have a clue?
No, but you know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the Drug Facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the Drug Facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/Drug Facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
An expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
I read a week or so ago, Holly, that Representative Carol Spackman Moss, who has served on the legislature for, 30 years. 26 years, would not run for re-election after this year's session. And I thought, are there other legislators that are in the same position as Carol? I mean, and why she's leaving, I guess 26 years is a good reason for that. Is we don't know, and it's none of our business necessarily, but maybe she feels like she's run her course.
So we're going to do insider baseball here for this next segment and talk about who's running and who's not running. I guess the easier question really is who's not running that we know of. And here's why we're talking about it now and not during or after the legislative session. So we have had this discussion about redistricting and filing for office, and it impacts only congressional candidates. That the special session that the legislature held at the beginning of December moved the filing deadline back. It only is going to impact this new congressional district. However, the Utah legislature, everybody has to file, and the filing period opens this Friday, January 2nd, and closes January 8th. So by the time you get to 5 p.m. on January 8th, this is going to be 2 weeks and a couple of weekends before the legislative session starts. We will know who's running for what seat in what district in the state.
And when the legislature convenes a couple weeks later,
that's right,
we'll know exactly who our lame duck members are.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so every member of the House will be running for re-election or not, as they so choose, but they're up every 2 years. And then half of the Senate, because they're up every 4 years. Now, let's talk about the House a little bit. So one of the things I learned this morning is that Representative Matthew Gwen is going to resign when the legislative session is over. He's going to serve through the session, and then he's going to resign, and that seat will be filled. But I don't remember if we talked much about this, but his daughter was in a really bad car accident in September. She suffered a traumatic brain injury. They didn't know if she was going to survive. She did survive, but there's a lot of recovery still ahead of her, and so he will be stepping down, and he'll be focusing on his ability to help his daughter recover. He's also been in law enforcement, police.
So his situation is a little bit different in that he's resigning after the session.
And not running again, but
Good for him for serving the commitment, though, notwithstanding the terrible tragedy.
So
but
he's
then his
won.
position will be filled by someone else, probably.
In a special election. That position will be filled in a special election.
Even though they won't serve a session necessarily.
Yeah, that's correct. And that has happened before, actually. So I don't know if you remember, but when Representative Jackie Biskupski was in office, she ended up resigning after a legislative session. She had an interim person chosen. I can't remember his name right now. I'm sorry. He did not end up serving a legislative session during the session. So she stepped down, but it was an election year. And so the person who won was not the person who was the interim replacement. And so that person did serve for the interim meetings, but didn't end up serving during a legislative session.
Before we get to some other names, what because you served in the legislature, how does it make a legislator's position different when they know that they're a lame duck, or does it?
I would say that it's the same as any other elected official, knowing that they're not going to come back and their constituents know that they're not going to come back. Sometimes it frees them up a little bit to either run bills that they feel passionate about but maybe don't have a lot of support, but they can at least use that as a platform. And I think sometimes it frees them up to be able to talk about the inner workings of the legislature that people a lot of times don't talk about when they're in the mix.
I was going to ask you about State Senator Nate Bluin, only in as much as he has made clear that he wants to run for the congressional seat that's being open in Utah. And if you can run, you probably can't run both simultaneously.
There's an exception with president running for president, but basically you can't run for two offices at the same time. So his term is up, and he would have to run for the state Senate again, or he can run for Congress. He's already announced that he's running for Congress, which means he cannot run for the Senate. Now, Senator Kathleen Reeby has also announced that she's going to run, but her cycle is not up. She's midterm, and so she can go ahead and run for Congress. If she wins, she would resign. If she doesn't win, she continues to serve as a state senator.
Bluin's position seems to be a fairly comfortable Democratic seat.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
That would seem to mean that some people will want to jump into that fray.
Yeah,
that other Democrats.
And his would be not a midterm vacancy replacement. It would be just a straight up election. Whoever files to run for that district. So we also have Representative Tyler Clancy, and he's been on our show several times.
Right.
He's going to become the new homeless czar. Sorry, that's not the official title.
Oh, right. It's accurate,
but
though.
He is going to resign after the legislative session is over. So he is another one, like Representative Gwynn, who said, I'm going to serve through the legislative session, but then I will resign.
And he's a Utah County representative. He's also a law enforcement officer.
Yeah, that's right. He's a detective with the Provo Police Department. That is correct.
Well.
He's also giving that up. We also have Representative Carrie Ann Lisenby, and she has said she is not running for the House again. That doesn't mean she won't run for the Senate potentially, but she's not going to run for the House again. We also have Representative Christine Watkins, who's down in the Price area. Her history is really interesting, but she said she's not going to run for the legislature again, but she's going to run for county commission down there.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
We had one of our county commissioners in Weber County that did the same thing. Who had been in the legislature for a while and then went into the county commission. Why do you suppose people are making this announcement now? To give others the chance?
That's exactly right, because filing starts on Friday. Today is Monday, and so you're starting to see these announcements trickle out. Now,
rather than just not file.
I was going to say that probably will happen. There will be some candidates who say who just are like, maybe they're working behind the scenes to find their heir apparent. I don't know, but it has happened before. We also know Representative Sandra Hollins, who is a Democrat. She has announced she's not going to run again. Representative Bridger Bollinger, who's currently in House leadership as a Republican, he's announced he's not going to run again. So we have these seats where people can look at them and say, okay, I really am going to run. Sometimes people are more willing to run for an open seat than they are to run against an incumbent. I mean, that makes sense, right? But Also in the mix is Senator Jerry Stevenson. I'm hearing he's not running again. Representative Stuart Barlow not running again. And so we'll see. What's interesting to me is how much the Utah legislature turns over. It's a part-time legislature. It does not pay well. People do this for really, I really almost all of them at least do it for love of their community because they want to serve.
And even though the legislature is only in session for 45 days or something, we know from what's happened just since we've taken this position, which was after the legislative session ended. They have special sessions, they have interim, they have meetings. I mean, it's not a
So when you say
job.
part-time, that's right. And when you say part-time, when I was first observing the legislature, I'm like, 45 days, and it's 45 contiguous days, so that actually counts the weekends also. So 45 days during the session, and then you have 6 interim days. Okay, that seems doable. It is so much more time than that. It's so much more time.
I understand now why people would make that announcement now so that you can give others the chance to step up to the plate and to do what you need.
Yeah.
This is a dumb question, but in our national legislators, they don't have to live in the district that they run, but our state representatives do.
Yeah, state you do. So for Congress in Utah, you do not have to live in your district. We've learned that since, I think, 2008 when Jason Chaffetz did not live in the district he was running in, and then since then we've had multiple congressional representatives not live in the district that they're representative. But in Utah, that is how I got in, because the person who was holding that seat had moved and did not realize that they moved out of their legislative district, and they had to resign. And then the seat was vacant, and so that's how I got in.
If you hold the position and you move while you're in there, you have to resign?
That is correct. If you move out of your district while you're there, you're done.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's also interesting to watch what the weather has done recently here in Utah. And as a skier, it's very heartbreaking. But the weather pendulum has swung a little bit. Very wet fall has given way to a very dry winter. Laura Haskell with the Utah Division of Water Resources is going to tell us how this has affected the Utah water economy. And hopefully we have some good news coming up in the future with weather reports. We'll learn about that later.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Britt Johnson. KSL's top story this hour. The cold weather is finally here, and firefighters are reminding people to get their chimneys checked before starting that cozy fire. Mountain Green Fire Chief Brian Brendel says before throwing the firewood in, have a chimney sweep come out and give it a look.
Have your chimney cleaned by a professional. We have had some experiences with people cleaning their own chimneys, and they have a tendency to mess it up a little bit.
He says expect to get the chimney cleaned every other year, but at least have someone come out and take a look. The second big thing, burning the right wood. Brendel says hardwoods like oak, cedar, and redwood burn hot and leave less soot behind. And always keep a fire extinguisher nearby, next to a door preferably, and never be afraid to give the department a call. Our top national stories this hour from ABC News. Wintry weather is forecasted to cause some travel issues for those in the upper Midwest. In portions of New York and Vermont, ice could make travel treacherous, and high winds are forecasted for portions of the South. The weather is prompting airlines to cancel hundreds of flights today.
Keep this in context. There are roughly 35 to 40,000 departures today, so most people will get to where they are going with no issue. But if you are flying through the big hubs in the Midwest, we're talking about Detroit, Minneapolis, even down to Atlanta, you could see some cancellations or delays.
ABC's Sam Sweeney reporting. Your money at this moment, things are down. The Dow has lost 284 points. The S&P is off 33 points, and the NASDAQ has lost 162 points. Coming up, it's chilly out there. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
In today's fast-moving job market, staying ahead means keeping your skills sharp. At University of Maryland Global Campus, we help keep your capabilities cutting edge with our skills-based education programs designed to move your career forward. Explore more than 135 degrees and certificates in business, cybersecurity, and more. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start January 7th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Michelle Rowe.
Looking really good out there right now. Looking at a KSL travel time of about 16 minutes northbound I-15 from Draper to downtown. For the rest of I-15, that's also looking good. And if you're making your way through Parley's Canyon, that is free and clear of any sort of winter conditions at the moment. The Good Feet store supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, it's chilly out there, but clear skies, and we will get a little bit warmer as the week progresses, getting up to the 50s by Friday. Right now, it's 30 degrees and sunny. I'm Britt Johnson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Earlier in the program today, we broke away for a few minutes to the Tyler Robinson court hearing in Utah County. I just wanted to revisit that because when we ended that, I indicated that the judge was also going to address a secondary motion. The one that he talked about was the motion by the media to get access to some records from one of the previous hearings dealing with courtroom security and whether or not that should be released to the public, more importantly, I guess, to the media. The second motion that I thought he was going to address was a motion filed by the defense to recuse the Utah County Attorney's Office, saying you can't even be on this case because you have a conflict of interest. I thought the judge was going to address that today, but he did not. So I didn't want to leave our listeners hanging that there was another motion that we didn't get to. But
so do you know when he will address that? Because it seems kind of like a big deal.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. The next hearing is January 16th, not that far down the road, just a couple of weeks. So I assume that he'll address it then. But he went through a very thorough, he literally went through every line of the hearing that had occurred in October.
Redact this word and not this word.
So he gave the media a lot of what they wanted. And by the way, that was a motion filed by the media to get access to a hearing. And the defense and the prosecution both agreed to keep it sealed. It wasn't funny. So the media were the ones that were arguing. I think it was Jeff Hunt who was there arguing on behalf of the media, saying, "Hey, we need this information. The public has a right to see it." And the judge, responding to the defense and the prosecution, saying, "Well, wait a minute. What about the whole fair trial issue and making sure that we get a jury that's not tainted by information they shouldn't be getting?"
Well, and he went through it with a fine-tooth comb, because as we started listening to the hearing, he said something like 240 words or 246 words out of 18 pages or something. It's like you're going to redact this one word and this half of a sentence, and that was very thorough.
And what it was, and I wasn't at the hearing, so I'm not disclosing anything. I think the sheriff or somebody from the sheriff's office testified to security problems that they're having and that they thought they might have, and they were trying to decide whether or not, for example, he should be transported to court, whether he should be in shackles, whether he should be able to wear civilian clothing, because all those things create security problems. And speaking of which, at this very hearing today, he didn't appear.
Yeah.
The judge even said at the beginning, "Hey, can you hear us? Can you see what's going on?" He didn't need to appear. Anyway, let's talk about the weather, because we started October, I think,
which is the water year.
Yeah, we had a record rainfall of 4 inches in one day.
Yeah,
that was a half an inch over the previous record. But now we're seeing a historically dry December with nearly no snow. I mean, I work for one of the ski resorts, Powder Mountain. No surprise there. And we're open and we're skiing, but it's not the snowpack we normally have on the last week of December.
Well, and I think it's not just lack of snowpack, it's just lack of moisture overall. So we have with us Laura Haskell. She's drought coordinator with the State Division of Water Resources. Thanks for joining us, Laurel.
Thank you.
Laura, sorry. I said that wrong.
All right.
Tell us what we're looking at, because to me it seems like we are really, really dry. Is it really bad?
So we did start the water year really great, like you said, and we had all that precipitation that left the soil really wet. So that sets us up. The ground is kind of like a sponge, and so we want to have that wet soil so that when the snow melts, it doesn't get soaked up by the ground. But we do need the snow to have a snow melt, and you're right. We have had very, very little snow this year, and we're quite low in several of the basins around the state. We are actually at the lowest that we've seen in the last 30 years. So it's a little bit like a road trip. The further we go in the wrong direction, the further we go into the winter of not getting any snow, the harder it's going to be to turn around and get back to where we want to be.
So this is sound like a dumb question, Laura, but what's the difference between, let's say we expect, and I know we're not getting moisture at all, but let's say we would expect January and February to produce 80 inches of snow, which equates to 5 inches of water, and I'm just making up some numbers here. What's the difference between that and just getting 5 inches of water from rain? I mean, does it make a difference whether it comes in the form of snow or rain?
It actually does. We are set up for storing snow and melted snow. When it comes off in rain, it hits differently. It comes in different places. We aren't necessarily able to store kind of that lower elevation. Snowpack is almost like a reservoir of water just sitting up in the mountains, and we are set up to have that system and then have it all melt in a short period of time in the spring and all captured into our reservoirs. That's the way we set up our system in Utah.
So what are we, just overall, what are we looking at for the coming year? And I know it's a wait and see because we haven't had January and February yet, or March, but it feels to me like you mentioned at the very beginning that we have been going further and further down the road. Like I keep hearing Lake Powell is in trouble, and I keep hearing like Beaver Mountain has not opened yet this year, and they are hoping they can open this week, but they don't know for sure.
You're right. We do typically, our snowpack will peak at its highest point sometime in the 1st of April. But we typically give about 16 inches of water in our snowpack each year, and we're currently at 3 inches of water. So we have a long ways to go, and we hope we can make that up, but we don't know what's coming. So we need to be really aware of our water use and be careful with that, because we can't necessarily change what we get, but we can change what we use.
Laura, are there parts of the state that are in deeper trouble than others right now? I know that in the past, I think the last year or so, the Southwest, Washington and Iron counties were really struggling. Has that turned around at all, or is it now a statewide problem?
It is a little bit of a statewide problem. In the southern part of the state, we do have some reservoirs that are more of a smaller 1 to 2 year storage of water, and those reservoirs are struggling more. The reservoirs that can hold, 5-10 years of water, they still have water from that record snowpack we had a few years ago, and they're just a little bit better able to absorb one bad year. So the areas that rely on a smaller reservoir are doing more poorly.
So what can consumers like us, what can we do right now? We're not watering lawns, I hope. What can we do to help conserve water right now?
So slowtheflow.org has some great tips of things you can do inside, things like making sure your dishwasher's all the way full before you run it. We have rebates for a low-flow toilet if you have an older toilet that uses a lot of water every time it flushes. There are great tips on that website that you can go to.
Do you think we'll ever get to the point, Laura, that certain areas will not allow any more building because of water? I know that's a weird question, but it seems like we know that this state's going to grow. We've heard numbers that we're going to grow by almost double in our number of people in the next 10, 20 years. Are there places that just can't accommodate that and that maybe we need to rethink where we're building?
We have done some things with planning growth, and we have started a legislation to integrate water and growth into your planning your growth. And so local communities can look at how they want to grow, how they want to develop, what they want to happen, and look at the water use that's going to come from that growth and how things build out and how things are developed, and can look at that locally for their community of what they want to look like in the future, and know that water needs to be a part of that. So that is legislation that's been passed in the last couple of years to look at that exact issue.
Thank you so much for joining us today. That was Laura Haskell, and she's drought coordinator for the Utah Division of Water Resources. And
that's not the best job in
I know,
Utah.
right?
She probably does like it, but boy, it's a frightening time.
Thank goodness for October, though, because can you imagine if we had even an average October, we'd be in deep hurting a lot more. Yeah.
Hopefully it'll turn around.
Okay, so we're going to continue talking about our end-of-year stories, and this next segment, we're going to talk about some of the education stories in Utah that made the news, and we'll be talking with the reporter who talked about them.
Rescue, redemption, recovery, re-entry. That's what happens at the Rescue Mission of Salt Lake City.
My name's India.
My name is Kelly.
So I was a heroin addict.
I was living in my car.
Then I decided it was time that I got help.
You don't know what to expect.
The Rescue Mission of Salt Lake does not accept any federal, state, or city funding. Everything is wholly supported through your generous tax-deductible contributions, along with donations of our friends and supporters.
You have a bed. You have a shower. We get everything that we need.
87% of every dollar goes to the Rescue Mission services. The other 13%, hard costs to run the mission building itself.
Like I have that hope now.
Thank goodness.
From the recovery program to a place to lay your head at night, and meals served every morning, afternoon, and evening all year long, as well as food boxes for families in need. The Rescue Mission needs our help.
Like a new life, that newfound hope.
That's what I'm grateful for.
Find out how at rescuesaltlake.org.
Guns. Rocky Mountain Gun Shows. Don't miss the Rocky Mountain Gun Show, Saturday and Sunday, January 3rd and 4th at Western Sports Park in Farmington. Stock up on wholesale ammo with no limit on quantity. Get 500 rounds of 9mm ammo for just $85. Shop our massive selection of firearms, mags, knives, and outdoor equipment. It's the Rocky Mountain Gun Show, so you know it'll be good. Rocky Mountain Gun Shows.
What if more reliable didn't mean more expensive?
With Xfinity, you can get reliable, fiber-powered Wi-Fi for less. We're talking intelligent gig-speed Wi-Fi for $50 a month. This holiday season through January 4th, Xfinity is offering their best price Sun gig-speed Wi-Fi. Guaranteed for 5 years. No contracts, no strings attached. You can save $3,000 over Verizon and AT&T. Imagine getting super-fast Wi-Fi at the same price for 5 years. Get everything you need from Xfinity, their best Wi-Fi equipment, even unlimited data, all included, all at their best price. Get ready to be wowed by your Wi-Fi. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary. Savings based on promo and post-promo prices for 1 gig Internet, 1 unlimited line, and Peacock Premium versus Verizon 1 gig Internet and AT&T 1000 Internet with 1 unlimited starter SL line.
Utah is one of the best places to live, work, and raise a family. But for many Utahns, the dream of owning a home is slipping away. Home prices have risen faster than incomes, and families are spending nearly 2/3 of what they earn just to keep a roof overhead. From young graduates to grandparents, everyone is feeling the squeeze. Utah needs more homes, the right kinds of homes, so families can stay close and our communities can thrive. That's why Utah Workforce Housing Advocacy created Demand More Supply, a statewide effort helping Utahns understand the issue and take action in their own communities. Because when we work together, we can make housing affordable again for today's families and for future generations. Let's make the dream of owning a home a reality again. Learn more and add your voice at demandmoresupply.com. Demandmoresupply.com. That's demandmoresupply.com.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
So, you want to be a hero. Here are some ways to get the job. Hunt down that killer shark. Or run into a burning house to save a kitten. Luckily, there's an easier way to become a hero. Call 911 if you see someone experiencing the symptoms of stroke, sudden weakness on one side, or trouble speaking, walking, or seeing. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. You'll be a real hero. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
Inside Sources.
This is an especially fun time of year for me, Holly, because we can go back and look at the significant events that happened in the year. We've had a couple of guests with us already talking about what's happened this year. 2025, what's got two or three more days left, and so it's always interesting to just go back and say, okay, what happened this year? What did we learn? Who's the person of the year? What's the story of the year? What's the editorial of the year? Who's the best whatever of the year? And really, it's we're going to continue that during the week, I think.
Yeah, we are. And, education is a big deal, partially because it's the biggest chunk of the Utah state budget goes to education every year. And we have with us reporter Jason Swenson from the Deseret News, and he wrote an end-of-year roundup. Actually, I asked him to join the show before he even wrote the roundup. So thanks for that, Jason.
Oh, Holly, Greg, good morning. Good to be with you again. Happy to help.
Thanks. What do you think are some of the top, most impactful education stories of the year in Utah?
Well, I think that the list is long and certainly historic. When I returned to the newsroom just last year and was asked to cover education in Utah, both higher education as well as K through 12, I had no idea, Holly, that 2025 would be marked with so much history, so much change, and yes, certainly a historic and unforgettable moment of tragedy as well that happened on one of our university campuses. And so it's a long list, and one that I think people will be talking about and referencing for years, even decades to come.
How is that incident that we're talking about at Utah Valley University affect us? I mean, I hadn't thought about that as an education story, but it clearly is, Jason. It happened on a campus, and it happened in front of a huge number of students. We're talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination. Right.
You're right, Greg, and certainly, it was a reminder that that violence and specifically gun violence can really happen on any campus across the United States. It's something that we've been dealing with and seeing for decades, and even in the weeks after the Charlie Kirk slaying, we saw, earlier this month, the mass shooting there at Brown University, and so it was certainly sort of a sobering reminder that even at a school like Utah Valley University, which is one of my favorite campuses to visit because it's just always such a friendly and welcoming. It's not a school that ever feels any divisive or politically charged, and yet that would be the site of this sort of horror, really, and violence, and just a reminder that campus violence is a reality across the country that we have to face as Americans and even as Utahns.
If you don't mind, I'd like to switch to a different education story, and that is the really big overhaul of higher ed in the state of Utah, and that started with the Utah legislature. I'm wondering if you can give us an update on what that looked like for Utah's public universities.
No, absolutely. This year, the legislature, with the governor's approval, launched House Bill 265. That's the so-called Higher Education Strategic Reinvestment Plan, and it was quite a dramatic plan. It required the state's 8 public colleges and universities to each reallocate millions of their budget dollars to educational programs that were determined through great analysis and deliberation, programs that were determined to be of highest value to not only Utah students, but also to local industries. And so we're talking about tens of millions of dollars that were originally held by the legislature, and in exchange, universities and colleges were asked to put together a reallocation program. Once that was met with satisfaction, that money was then returned. But certainly, it did change, Holly, the face and direction of all of our public colleges, and really just a reminder of how tax dollars and budget dollars are being used to go toward what's determined to be of highest value. And obviously, that's an ongoing debate, what makes highest value. And so certainly there were proponents of House Bill 265, and there were also some very vocal opponents of this legislation.
Jason, is it too early yet to measure the impact of what's happening nationally with the Department of Education on how it's affecting the state, especially the state of Utah? Or are we sort of just wait and see?
No, I think it's something that we need to keep a close eye upon. And you referenced that it's been a historic year of disruption in the Department of Education. Of course, the Trump administration, the president himself, has long been a very, very vocal enemy of the Department of Education. He's called it a con job now for several years, and stated it as mission, and even signed an executive order seeking the abolishment of the Department of Education. And of course, that's a very important agency in many ways, in that it manages a lot of the budget money that goes towards, say, Title I schools that serve a number of at-risk or vulnerable communities, as well as special needs programs for K through 12, along with a lot of the federal grant programs for higher education. And so the changes and shifts to that department and disruptions have certainly caused some alarm with many, including those in Utah, wondering if those, say, special needs students, or those students living in more at-risk communities, if they will continue to receive the same sort of support that they have relied upon in recent years through the federal agency. Meanwhile, you have people like Governor Cox and a number of people in the state who are certain that education, they echo President Trump's feelings that education is best managed with states, and they're very, very confident that once the federal government sort of gets out of the way and the state's allowed to be able to manage these sort of grants and opportunities, that in fact students both in K through 12 programs as well as in higher education will ultimately be the beneficiaries of more state-managed programs. But certainly a period of disruption that continues to happen almost on a day-to-day basis as the Department of Education continues to sort of take a new face and change, and we'll get back with me in another 6 months, Greg, and we'll see how it's looking.
You know, I have a follow-up question, and it's related to our stats with students and our reading proficiency. So that's one of the areas I think of concern with education this year. Is that something that you wrote about recently?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the state of Utah has traditionally performed well when you compare it to the performance of K through 12 students in other states, and that has continued. But the nation's report card, which is sort of a measurement of both the math and reading proficiency of our country's fourth graders and eighth graders, continues to reflect that students, the reading proficiency is continuing to decline. And while Utah students continue to outperform their national counterparts in reading, their numbers are still slipping. And so the State Board of Education and a number of our educators are aggressively looking at ways that they can identify the problems. Why is it that our proficiencies in reading are slipping? And then be able to find some very, very specific ways that they can go ahead and remedy those challenges. Because I know with your background in education, Holly, you recognize, reading is so fundamental. And if by the time they're third or fourth grade, if they're struggling with that, that usually is a signal that their education opportunities are going to be limited. So it's a real concern, even though Utah seems to be performing at a higher level than most of the states.
Last question, Jason. We've only got about a minute, but what's up with the district splitting up? It seems like that's something we haven't, at least I haven't been aware of in the past, but Alpine District split. We had a guest who told us that Granite, they were talking about splitting Granite. Maybe that's not happening anytime soon, but how has that rocked our education system?
I think you will continue to see those sort of tensions wherever you have growth in specific areas. And then, of course, people want to look for opportunities to be able to keep their own tax dollars within their own communities. And so even though enrollment across our K through 12 public schools seems to be on the decline, I suspect we will continue to see those sort of tensions specifically in communities that are continuing to grow. And as always, people are intent on keeping their tax dollars within their own schools and communities. So don't be surprised to see more of that in the future, Greg.
Great explanation. That was Jason Swenson from the Deseret News. And when we come back, some serious waves were made this weekend with regard to Utah football. We lost a football coach to Michigan. BYU won a big game. We're going to talk with Utah football insider Steve Bartle after the break.
I'm Reagan Edelman. KSL's top story this hour: funeral plans have been announced for President Jeffrey R. Holland, president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
The funeral will be at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, December 31st. It's open to anyone age 8 and older. The service will be conducted by Elder Quentin L. Cook, who is a former mission companion to President Holland. President Dallin H. Oaks will preside, and music will be provided by the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square.
Doors will open at 9:30 a.m. and seating will happen while there's space. The service will be streamed live, including here on KSL News Radio. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: a promising presidential conversation in Florida this weekend between President Trump and President Zelensky brings new hope that progress is being made on a possible peace deal with Russia.
Zelensky bringing with him a proposed 20-point peace plan, which includes stronger security guarantees and a major concession to the Russians, a demilitarized buffer zone in the contested Donbas region of Ukraine. Trump insisting Putin is ready for peace. Yet over the weekend, Russia launched one of its biggest attacks on Ukraine in months, killing 2 people, wounding dozens more, and leaving families without electricity, freezing in the cold.
ABC's Nicole D'Antonio there. Your money at this moment: the Dow is down 220 points, the S&P is down 29 points, and the Nasdaq is down 149 points. Coming up, some sunshine today and tomorrow. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with an SPF of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Michelle Rowe.
I-15 running at posted speeds. We are also seeing good conditions if you're on the belt route. But where I do see a big backup, this is up in the Park City area. This is westbound Kearns Boulevard as you're at Comstock Drive. That is backing up almost to Highway 40. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather: some sunshine tomorrow, a high of 43 and a low of 24. Temperatures will climb a bit on Wednesday with a high of 47, and then some valley rain and mountain snow Thursday for the new year. Right now, it's 30 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Reagan Edelman from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, it was an interesting football weekend, and if you're a BYU fan, of course you know that they won their game, and it was a tough game. And I can't find my. There we go. I mean, I'm a Utah man. I went there for 4 years of undergrad.
I'm a both.
So this song sometimes bothers me. But you have to admit, it was a great year for BYU. It was a great year for Kalani Sitake, who had the opportunity to go to, I think, Penn State, probably make a boatload. Instead, he stuck around, and he's going to stick around at BYU. We'll talk about the Utah counterpart to that in just a minute. But BYU had a tough game. They played Georgia Tech.
It was such a good game. It was a little depressing in the middle, I'll have to admit.
Yeah, they were down by a bit. I think it was
points.
21 to 10 going into the fourth quarter, and they scored 15 points unanswered and won. And then held Georgia Tech to like a goal line stance at the very end.
Yeah, I think interception in the end zone actually at the very end of the game. So, look, I am a BYU fan, BYU football fan, and I thought it was really, really fun. I think the Pop-Tart Bowl is still like they really played that up. So they had life-size Pop-Tarts, and the trophy was a toaster that looked like maybe it didn't work on the first pop-up. And they were showering the coach with miniature Pop-Tarts, and he was snarfing a Pop-Tart, and it's funny, and they just leaned right into it, but they really played a good game.
He did one of those John Belushi from Animal House where he stuffed the entire Pop-Tart in his mouth, and it was fun. It was fun to watch that. You know, a lot of the national commentators were sort of joking about the Pop-Tart Bowl, and you mentioned a minute ago that there was a trivia fact about the Pop-Tart Bowl involving the BYU quarterback.
It was a tweet, and they basically said Bear Bachmeier is the first MVP player in a Pop-Tart Bowl to be named after an animal.
A distinction.
And that will probably hold for a long time.
Live on for a while. Yeah, so another thing I wanted to mention, I know this isn't a sports show, but the Big 12, the conference that Utah and BYU both play in right now, is this, let's face it, the smaller conference in terms of football prestige to the SEC and the Big 10, but right now the Big 12 is undefeated in bowl games. BYU beat Georgia Tech from the ACC, and Houston beat LSU from the SEC. So those are pretty big games.
So one of the things that I watched on social media after BYU won is how many people consistently said that that BYU should not have been overlooked the way they were for a championship game, right? So they ended the game with 12 wins. Ended the season with 12 wins, And one of the things that was interesting, I thought, was people who were not BYU, they're not like BYU players, saying, hey, look, this team should have been elevated a lot more than it really was. Because we only had 2 losses, Texas Tech, both of them, same loss, right? So I saw stats. If you take Texas Tech out, we beat everybody.
Yeah, but if you consider had BYU lost to Georgia Tech, we'd be having a different conversation.
We would.
But they beat Georgia Tech, and Georgia
did.
Tech, I think, was one of the only ACC. They were the ACC representative. They're the highest ranked team from the Atlantic Coast.
So it was a good game. It was really fun. It was fun to watch.
Okay, let's go north. I don't know why the delay there, but that's the Utah fight song. I don't know how it's worded now. A Utah person am I?
A
Utah fan am I?
Yeah,
Okay,
Utah
yes.
fan I am.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Tammy, tell us about the Utes.
Oh man, what an adventurous weekend.
I know. So we have this coach, Kyle Whittingham, who's been with Utah for 10, 12 years?
20
years.
Yeah.
Seems
I think
like
he
just
started in
yesterday.
2005.
Yeah, what happened to Urban Meyer? Anyway, so he takes over the program, Tammy, and he is, he announces his retirement after years and years. He's been this great coach.
He didn't announce his retirement.
What
did
he
he
do?
say?
He said he was stepping away from the program, or stepping down, stepping back, whatever. But it was never a retirement.
We're mincing words here.
I saw that right after that, like within a couple of days, he's like, I'm in the portal.
Yeah,
like
I'm in the
the
transfer
portal. So let me ask you this, Tammy. So we have Tammy Kikuchi with us, and she's a Utah expert.
Yeah.
Was this in the works? Is that why he suddenly said, hey, I'm going to step away?
That's been the speculation, but no. I mean, he had talked about it even last year, about why he didn't step back last year, because their season was not good, and he wanted to leave on a positive note. And there's speculation that Morgan Scalley was going to leave unless they cleared the path for him to take over the head coaching job, because he was the coach in waiting.
Oh, wow.
For quite a while.
For a couple of years. So
I don't know. The timing is suspicious.
It is suspicious, yeah.
So Utah has a bowl game in 2 days.
Yeah.
Who's coaching?
Morgan Scalley's going to be coaching.
So Witt's gone.
Wow.
Witt's gone, yeah, because he needs to be available for the Citrus Bowl.
He's coaching in that game. Is that a New Year's Day game?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Whittingham's coaching Michigan in the Citrus Bowl?
Well, I think so.
Yeah, that's what I read.
How do you coach a team you never met?
I don't know. But he knows.
If anybody can.
He knows. Look, I know the former head coach. Like, he's out. Like, he's gone.
from Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the other things that I saw is that Witt is taking with him Jay Hill, but Jay is from BYU. That's right.
The defensive coordinator who was a rock star in the
Yes.
game,
In the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Pop-Tart Bowl, right?
Holy moly, yeah.
Yeah, they held Georgia Tech to, I think, no points in the second half, or at least in the
It was
fourth
a
quarter.
great
right.
game, by the way.
Yeah.
And I'm not a BYU fan, don't get me wrong, but I watched that game, and it was very entertaining. And
It was.
Kudos to the Cougs.
So tell us about Jay Hill leaving and what that looks like.
Well, that's a brilliant pick, and I think, now the focus is he going to take Jason Beck also?
From BYU.
From Utah.
From Utah.
Who is the what?
He's the offensive coordinator.
So you get the offensive.
That'd be so interesting.
So we're also hearing, Tammy, that there could be some player transfers, and I know that that's sort of just talking right now, but do you think some players will follow Whittingham?
I think some will. Now, Dampier, who came with Jason Beck, he probably won't because Michigan has a really good 5-star quarterback, and so Dampier would have to settle for being a backup quarterback,
right?
Where he's the starting, and I think I don't know, but the tea leaves say he will stay and finish out his time at Utah.
I hope so.
So what do we know about Kyle's contract? Besides the fact that it's going 5 years, do we know any more than that? Is he going to be making bank?
$8 million or something a year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be significantly more than what he's making at Utah. And it wasn't like he was making a pittance at Utah, but
it's interesting because Kalani Sitake had an opportunity to leave BYU. He was being courted, I think, by Penn State.
I think it was
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Penn State, you would imagine, would have Michigan-type money to spend on a coach.
Mm-hmm.
But to his credit, Sitake decided to stick around.
Yeah, and I guess when Whittingham had his press conference, he said, as I looked around and I was in the transfer portal, like you said, he said there were maybe 5 schools that I would consider. And it was just who was going to come and work with me. And they were all top-tier schools, so...
What's one of the things that's interesting to me is I, like you said, what is he, Whittingham, has he been in Utah for like 8 years? No, it was 2005. I was surprised that it was that long.
It was a long time.
But I think he's like 66, and so he just signed a 5-year contract and saying something like there's still a lot of gas in the tank or something like that. So is that normal for college coaches to be coaching into their 70s? Do you know?
I think it probably is. I mean, you hear coaches on the pro and college level who are coaching. I mean, because you get assistants, you get like you say, your defensive coordinator, your offensive coordinator, and the coach is still the coach and brings the players in and sort of produces the game plan. But it's nice to have some. Even those years of wisdom, I think, are helpful.
We have a smart texter that tells us that Whittingham will be at the game for the Citrus Bowl, but he won't be he won't be coaching that game.
Okay.
Oh, really?
But he'll be there. That's what our texter tells us. So, anyway, just interesting conversation. I think this time of year is fun to watch football. Right, you get to the bowl games. There's a bigger conversation to be had about how the United States College Bowl championship thing works. It's not good.
We're going to the bowl game.
Oh, fun!
And I was
it's
really
in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, and I was very excited to see Whittingham coach in his final game here at Utah. But oh well.
Who wins the game?
Utah.
There we go. All right.
I mean, come on, Greg.
I think so too. They're certainly favored, and they should win that game.
All right. Well, thanks for joining
Thanks,
us.
Tammy.
Sure.
We're going to talk about fun facts next, and I will just have to say a fun fact, maybe a sad fact, but it was on this day in 2016 that Lavelle Edwards passed away. So speaking of coaches and speaking of BYU, it's been a little while. It's been 9 years, but on this day is when Lavelle Edwards passed away. All right, stay with us over the break.
It's the dawning of a brand new year, and NPS is here to make sure that new year is wonderful by helping you, all of our families, buy at great, great prices. Each and everything in the store any given day is 20 to 70% off. And then they have additional sales. They change all the time. New things are coming into each of the stores, and you can save even more at NPS. And of course, if you're looking to eat a little healthier this year, NPS has the great produce. They have things that you are looking for to make sure your family eats well and eats healthy. And of course, there are many things for your home as well at greatly reduced prices. NPS, it is the nice place to shop and the nice place to save. Each of their locations, 2 in Salt Lake City on Empire, 1 in Orem, and 1 in Layton. NPS for the brand new year.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall, presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Since its founding as a small family-owned construction company, Mortenson has grown into a trusted leader in Utah, delivering transformative projects across the state, shaping communities, supporting local growth, and driving innovation that strengthens the region. Director of Business Development Josh Caldwell joins us with more.
Since 1983, Mortenson has proudly delivered transformative projects across the state and consistently since 2017. Today, we have more than 200 team members who call Utah home, bringing national expertise and a ton of horsepower to execute locally. We've built over $5 billion in projects here over the past couple of years, and we're shaping communities through healthcare facilities, data centers, life science labs, industrial spaces, and iconic sports and entertainment venues. But Mortenson is more than just a builder. We're a developer and an investor as well, having acquired over 500,000 square feet of office space and over 1.8 million square feet of industrial product in Utah just in the past couple of years. We also focus on sustainability, innovation, and community impact in every project, ensuring lasting value, stronger communities, and meaningful experiences for generations to come. At the end of the day, our commitment is simple. We're here to redefine what's possible for Utah's future. We are Mortenson. We are Utah.
Mortenson continues to shape Utah's communities, delivering projects that inspire innovation, create new opportunities, foster growth, and leave a lasting, meaningful impact for generations to come. Learn more about their work and vision at mortenson.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for kids, teens, or young adults. It's just not.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals and volatile organic compounds into your body.
And nicotine, the same highly addictive substance found in regular cigarettes.
Nicotine can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
Affecting learning, memory, attention, and impulse control, and priming the brain for other addictions.
Vaping products also come in kid-friendly flavors that can make them appealing to youth.
And many kids also use other drugs, like marijuana, in vaping devices.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping, because when you talk, they hear you.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form, cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General, at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
Mom and Dad used to argue about everything, especially about Dad's drinking. It drove me crazy. It got so bad, I couldn't do my homework. I couldn't concentrate. I absolutely refused to let any of my friends come to our house for any reason. I would have been humiliated if anyone found out how much my dad drank and how loud my mom screamed at him. My family went from totally crazy to quiet, calm, and even peaceful. The only thing that happened is my mom started going to Al-Anon family groups. Her relationship with my dad really changed. I asked Mom if she would take me to her Al-Anon meetings or to Alateen. I wanted to see if I could have a better relationship with my dad. I'm sure glad I did. If someone's drinking troubling you, you might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon or Alateen family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-ALANON or go to alanon.org.
The new Inside Sources.
I know we're not a sports show, Holly, but thanks for accommodating. Thanks for humoring me over the last session. I wanted to talk about BYU and Utah football, and it's a fun time of year. We're between the two games. Hopefully both teams will win. We know BYU already did.
I had to look up the time for the Utah game down in Vegas, and it'll start at 1:30 Mountain Time. So after our show on Wednesday, and we will be carrying the last hour of our show, we'll be carrying the funeral for President Holland, but that will be wrapped up by noon. They promise us that it's an hour. And then the football game at 1:30.
And I think sometime between now and the end of the week, we have to do a New Year's resolution segment. So maybe we can do that on Wednesday. But some of our listeners, if you start thinking about your New Year's resolutions, maybe we'll hit you up for those on Wednesday.
Well, and I'll tell you why they don't work. So.
Right, yes, and that's even better part of it.
All right, look, we spent a lot of December and a good chunk of November talking about stories of kindness and service. And I saw this one from, it actually was published late Christmas Eve on KSL, and Clearfield High students. So we talked with other high school students who were raising money for some mental health services. Clearfield High, they raised over $103,000 for Safe Harbor Crisis Center up in Davis County. So that's a domestic violence shelter. And the fact that these students in a couple of weeks raised over $100,000 was one that was just like, holy cow, that's amazing.
That's huge. We got to get one of those kids on the show before the end of the week to find out what they did and how they raised that.
Well, they're on break.
Oh, yeah. Never mind.
Next week.
Yeah, right.
They're all on break. Nobody talked to them.
$3,000.
Yeah, it is really great. And, one of the issues that sometimes we think about maybe inappropriately, but we like to think sometimes that domestic violence doesn't happen in the state of Utah, and of course we know that it does. And I think making an effort, especially if you could talk with high school students about red flags potentially, and dating violence and those types of things, that really can be a big issue and important piece of conversation. I also saw an article in the Associated Press today. And this one is called Volunteering with Children Can Build Character and Create Lasting Family Memories. And I love to talk about serving with family. And one of the people in the story is somebody who takes her 3-year-old with her, which is interesting because one of the things that she says is a lot of people are like, oh, he's too young, he can't do anything. And she's like, look, give him a chance. I'm telling you, he really can do it. He was making Valentine cards for senior citizens. They've picked up trash. They've helped harvest produce. They've made seed balls out of mud to help promote wildflower growth. I mean, there's a lot of possibility, and it's one of the things we've talked about on our show before with some of our other guests is how you can do service with your family.
Seed balls out of mud. I've never heard that concept, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So they're wrapping wildflower seeds in a ball of mud, and then as it kind of dries a little bit, then it's something they can chuck. And they were throwing them in the forest. So basically, these wildflowers would grow on the forest floor.
To start. Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Our young people today give me great optimism for the future because they're doing things, and because you sometimes think or you're told they're playing video games and they're not going to school and they're not reading and they're on their cell phones all day. But they rise up.
They are doing some really great things. Yeah, I have great hope too. All right, so today is December 29th. It's Pepper Pot Day. Do you know what a pepper pot is?
I've never even heard of a pepper pot.
It's a dish. It's actually food. So pepper pot is meant to celebrate a soup that was nicknamed, quote, the soup that won the war. And the war is the American Revolutionary War. The Philadelphia pepper pot soup is a thick soup made up of beef tripe, gross, whatever vegetables are available, and peppercorns. So pepper pot soup, that's today, and it apparently helped win the Revolutionary War.
Made from tripe.
That would be a hard pass from me. Yeah, thank you very much.
You go. Bad start.
It also is TikTok Day, which is not TikTok, the social media platform, but like a clock. Like a clock goes tick, Tick-tock. Because it's the end of the year, and so you're supposed to wrap up all the projects you're supposed to finish this year. You have, 2.5 days, something like that. Tick-tock day. All right. Now, I have to tell you on some of the trivia. So on this day, Thomas Becket was murdered in a church in Canterbury Cathedral.
Who?
Thomas Becket. But this happened in 1170 A.D. So do you know anything about Thomas Becket?
Was he the existentialist writer?
He was an English cleric and statesman. He served as the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Oh, I'm thinking of another Becket. Right.
Right, but
Okay.
he was one. This is King Henry II. So a really long time ago, he got crosswise with the king because the king said that he should have additional rights and privileges that Thomas Becket is like, no, you don't get that. And so what happened is the king actually sent 4 of his knights, surrounded him in the cathedral and killed him there at the altar of the cathedral. So he's later been canonized. He was canonized by Pope Alexander III, which was just 2 years after his death. And so now he's considered a saint and a martyr. But Thomas Becket was killed on this day in 1170, and now you know.
I'm always surprised that people were keeping such calendars.
They really did
1,000
keep
years
really,
ago.
really good calendars with royalty, right? So because this was interfaced
right.
with royalty, you have a lot better
The peasants weren't
calendars. The
keeping
peasants did
calendars.
not get to keep nearly as good records. So on this day in 1845, Texas was admitted as the 28th state of the Union.
In what year?
1845. So,
Because we think of the days of 47
right.
coming into Utah 2 years later.
That's right. So
right,
Texas
yeah.
was already a state.
Right.
Texas was already a state. So on this day in 1940, this was the worst German air raid on London. Over 10,000 bombs were dropped in one night, including the first incendiary bombs as part of the Blitz. So if you remember World War II history, right, I mean, one of the things, in fact, that I've been reading recently is that Germany thought they could starve out England because at the time, England was importing something like 70-80% of their foodstuffs. It was coming from other places, and they thought if they just choked them off, that they could just starve them out. And when they started doing the Blitz, they were dropping bombs every night, right, and killing people, but they were also there were warnings. Sometimes they didn't get them in time. But there was a tremendous amount of damage, but 10,000 bombs in one night.
Can you imagine some of our young people today imagining Germany bombing England?
Right.
Or Japan bombing the United States?
It's hard to imagine,
It's hard to
right?
imagine such tremendous allies that we have today. And we're not talking about 1,000 years ago. We're talking, less than 100 years ago.
Yeah, less than 100.
When things were that different than they are today.
Yeah, that's right. One more fun fact. In 1970, OSHA was signed into law by President Richard Nixon. That's the Occupational Safety and Health Act. So 1970. And then I already mentioned this, but in 2016, Lavelle Edwards died on this day. And in 2024, so we've talked about this also, former President Jimmy Carter died at age 100. So he had passed his 100th birthday.
Oh, that's right. I was going to ask you, did he make it to 100?
He did make it to 100. He did not make it to 101.
He was building houses at 99, it seemed like. He was doing something. And, he was, I'll just say this because we got to leave here in a minute, but one of the truly underrated presidents. I think history will be kind to Jimmy Carter. He tried. He did a good job, and he was just very honest.
I think known as for his humanitarian work more than even being president. But yeah, and you know what? We have one texter to end today on. He says you should try tripe, guys. If it's prepared right, it's good. I will take your word for that and probably pass on
I thought I was
trying.
going to say, stay in your lane, Scortis. Don't do any more sports shows. Well, that's it for Inside Sources today. Midday with Maria Shilaos is next, but we have Heather Peterson filling in with today's news. Stay right here on KSL News Radio, and KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera will be joining live for latest developments on the Tyler Robinson case.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time is 12 o'clock. This is Midday. I'm Heather Peterson, filling in for Maria Chaleos. KSL's top story this hour, developing news. There's new movement today in the case tied to the killing of Charlie Kirk. A judge has released closed-door proceedings that had previously been kept secret. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera is live with the latest. Eric?
Heather, this is a big transparency shift in this case. A Utah judge has ordered transcripts and eventually audio from a previously secret court hearing involving Tyler Robinson to be made public, with some limited redactions. That hearing centered on whether parts of this case should stay closed to the public as it moves forward.
Openness and transparency are foundational to our judicial system and essential to maintaining public confidence. At the same time, the public's right to access is qualified, not absolute.
Robinson is accused in the killing of Charlie Kirk at UVU, and until now,